Chapter 23:38. King's Grave Palace. The great demon halberd of desolation was still furious. The air thrummed with fury. It wanted to destroy the moon, but it failed. Maybe that peerless demon killed its owner? Murmured Lin Feng and the others. It kept attacking. Even though the great demon halberd of desolation didn't manage to destroy the moon, it at least managed to make the palace appear. The high priest of the celestial sound shrine wasn't far from Lin Feng and the others, looking up at the sky too. His eyes were glittering. Who had made him become amnesic? Who had messed with this world? Who had made it become a forbidden territory? How come all the strong cultivators of the continent of the 9 clouds and the supreme animal world didn't dare come here? Was it because of the person on that palace? The high priest of the celestial sound shrine rose up in the air. A guqin appeared in his hand and he started playing it. A deadly melody rose up. A silver river made of soundwave energy flowed across the sky. It crashed onto the palace, but nothing happened. There are words, said Yi Zhiyun, staring at the blood-red moon. Ancient writing had appeared. I don't understand those ancient characters, said Yi Zhiyun. Qi Lianshan and the fat guy frowned. They didn't know those characters either. What's the matter? Yi Zhiyun asked Lin Feng. He was trembling. It was the second time he had seen this in his life. The Demon Emperor. Lin Feng was shaking. 1,000 years ago, what had happened then? The Demon Emperor was supposed to have come to life 1,000 years before, and the supreme ancient pit of hell had existed for a very, very long time. 1,000 years before, there were already many legends about a demon. It had to be the Demon King of the supreme ancient pit of hell. You understand those characters? The fat guy asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded. He knew those words, of course. He had seen ancient words in the Jade Emperor's palace, and they were completely different from characters they used at the moment, because they were ancient words. What is written? Asked Qi Lianshan. He was curious. You could make the earth and the sky collapse. You made rivers of blood flow in the continent of the 9 clouds. I've been waiting for you for so long. Suddenly, the moon started trembling and illuminated Lin Feng's body. Yi Yun, Qi Lianshan and the fat guy were frozen with shock. You could make the earth and the sky collapse. You made rivers of blood flow in the continent of the 9 clouds. I've been waiting for you for so long. Was that voice talking to Daimon from the World Clan? Why did he understand those characters? Why was the moon shaking? The terrifying demon lake's strength gradually dispersed. The blood-red moon recalled it. A beam of light appeared and enveloped Lin Feng's body before lifting him away. Lin Feng slowly rose into the air. Lin Feng rose higher and higher into sky, getting closer and closer to the moon. He entered the sky palace as the astonished Ji Yun and others stared after him. He disappeared inside the palace. The demon lake is gone, we will survive, said Yi Zhiyun, taking a deep breath. Thanks to Daimon, they were going to survive. How come Daimon went to the palace? Did the Demon King call him? Qiong Haiya and Qiong Jiutian appeared. Qiong Haiya's lower body was missing. It had been corroded away. However, when the demon lake disappeared, some strength appeared around them and they recovered. I'm saved, it was the will of heaven, exclaimed Qiong Haiya, raising his head and looking at the moon. He had nearly died. Luckily, Qiong Jiutian had given him some precious treasures, which had protected him temporarily. But even then, his body had started being eaten away. He had almost died. Let's find the exit, said Qiong Jiutian. They had to leave. Yes, let's leave this horrible place, nodded Qiong Haiya. At that moment, they just wanted to leave. They were terrified. Nobody wanted to stay in the supreme ancient pit of hell anymore. Even saints risked their lives in here. Qiong Haiya swore he would never come back to this place. They managed to leave thanks to the will of heaven, ignoring all the demons who had lost their pasts and were just staring at the sky. The two just wanted to escape. Lin Feng saw an ancient throne inside blood-red main hall of the palace. There were Demon King statues all around, and a Demon King was seated on the throne. He was the only living being there, holding a demon blade with both hands. It was stuck in the ground before him. Who are you? Asked Lin Feng. He tried to keep calm as he said, You're not the Demon Emperor. Where is the Demon Emperor? Nobody replied. That person seemed like he had stayed there in that position forever. The silence was oppressive. Lin Feng glanced around and said, "Demon Emperor, you summoned me here. Why don't you show up? Why are you waiting for me?" Lin Feng didn't understand. There were many things which seemed to refer to the Demon Emperor. And now he was in that palace. Was it really the Demon King's coffin chamber? "I am the Demon Emperor," said a dimly discernible voice. Lin Feng had the impression he was hallucinating. The king on the throne seemed like he was coming back to life, raising his head. "No, it's an illusion." Lin Feng bit his lips. "It's not an illusion. I've been waiting for you for so long," the voice sighed. It seemed like that voice was traveling through space and time to reverberate in Lin Feng's head. "Why did you wait for me?" asked Lin Feng. "I've been waiting for you to be able to use my demon blade, for you to summon me, for you to crush the earth and sky, and for you to make rivers of blood flow in the continent of the 9 clouds. "You are asleep, how could I wake you up and call you?" said Lin Feng. He didn't understand. Was the Demon King sleeping? "Only you can call me because I am you and you are me," said the voice. "Come, take the blade and wake me up. Then you'll defy the earth and sky, my blood will be your path. You will create a gigantic palace of blood," said the voice. Lin Feng was trembling. "I am you and you are me?" The Demon Emperor meant that Lin Feng was the Demon Emperor? He was the Demon Emperor? "You're still hesitating? With my strength, I could destroy you instantly. I don't need to lie to you. Wake me up and receive my peerless strength. That palace will be yours. Do you understand?" "I've seen the Demon Emperor's picture. You're not him," said Lin Feng. "You must be the Demon King of the pit of hell. How could you be someone who lived 1,000 years ago? Do you think the Demon Emperor really exists? It was just your image, or you are his image. If you wake me up, you'll receive my strength and you'll understand everything. Come and try. I don't need to fool you to kill you." Lin Feng was astonished. The ancient words, the Demon Emperor, the images? Who was who? And the voice was right. He could kill him easily. He didn't need to lie. Lin Feng slowly walked forwards. He wanted to know the truth. He arrived in front of the throne. He stretched out his hand and put it on the demon blade. A terrifying strength filled the air. At that moment, he started trembling. He had the impression he was turning into the Demon King. "You are me. I am you. Wake me up. You'll become a real god," said the voice to Lin Feng. Would he be able to become one with the Demon King if he woke him up? Would he become a peerless cultivator if he did that? It was tempting. He was trembling more and more violently. "Am I really the Demon Emperor?" thought Lin Feng. He had been brought into the palace. Why did he need to wake him up like that? Why didn't he wake up himself if he had such powers? "I don't believe you," said Lin Feng. Chapter 23:39. Back to the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. Lin Feng pulled his hand away. He didn't believe him. He had gone through so many hardships to become so strong. How could such an incredible power be within reach so easily? Lin Feng didn't need such external strength. He wanted to keep everything under his own control. He didn't believe he was an ancient demon king. He was just himself, Lin Feng. A terrifying demon's strength penetrated into his body, but he stopped touching the blade and took steps backwards, staring at the figure on the throne as that cultivator was staring at him. He looked like a god, but he was motionless. He didn't try body capture using force. Lin Feng was perplexed. At that moment, the Demon King could do anything to him, but he didn't. "Since you don't want to wake me up, does it mean you think you want to see how strong you can be?" said the voice. It had only one thread of intent left. He was sound asleep. "I don't believe you," said Lin Feng. He became calm again. He was Lin Feng and had a forbidden body. "Someday, if I reach the clouds, I will go against the will of heaven. Why would I need to wake you up and borrow your strength?" Lin Feng asked calmly. "Will you regret?" "I will have nothing to regret," said Lin Feng indifferently. "You have a palace within reach. That is a tempting offer. Anyway, good, you have time to think anyway. If you change your mind, come back and wake me up," said the voice. Demon strength reappeared around the moon, and the air thrummed angrily. Boom! The great demon halberd of desolation landed next to Lin Feng. A terrifying chi filled the air. What a terrifying strength. One thought and the great demon halberd of desolation acknowledges allegiance to him. Thought Lin Feng. He was astonished. He looked at the great demon halberd of desolation. It looked unhappy. However, its mental state seemed like it was being oppressed. Lin Feng was still trembling. The great demon halberd of desolation appeared in front of the demon king. Was it going to submit? The great demon halberd of desolation is a great weapon. Since you don't want to wake me up, take it. Maybe you'll come back someday, said the voice. Lin Feng was stunned. Considering the words he had read and all the clues he had found, the demon emperor had to be somewhere around, but surprisingly there was only this demon king. What was his relation to the demon emperor? Why did he say that Lin Feng was the demon emperor? He had brought Lin Feng there, asked Lin Feng to wake him up. Lin Feng refused, and yet he didn't do anything to him. On the contrary, he even offered him the great demon halberd of desolation, a terrifying saint's weapon. It will listen to you. Don't forget that you are me. You just can't control its full strength yet, but I will help you and oppress its strength. It will be less arrogant. You will be able to control it, and it will acknowledge allegiance to you. Lin Feng grabbed the great demon halberd of desolation, and terrifying strength started corroding his body. In front of the demon king, the great demon halberd of desolation couldn't do anything, but against Lin Feng. Rise. Lin Feng raised his hands. A terrifying chi made the whole palace shake violently. Demon intent rang out viciously. He was still holding the great demon halberd of desolation, and looked like a demon god. Can I leave? Asked Lin Feng. Of course. But you will probably come back. I will be here waiting for you to wake me up. I will transmit you my strength, and you will become the god of the supreme ancient pit of hell, said the demon slowly. Then, you will control a peerless strength and enter this imperial castle and it will be yours. You will be a peerless demon god. All right, I will come back if I think it's the right choice, said Lin Feng indifferently. He was thinking he would never come back to this horrible place. It wasn't a castle, but a coffin chamber. Go. Nobody will prevent you from leaving, said the demon. Lin Feng put the great demon halberd of desolation away and left the castle. What an incredible experience. The Sky Palace. What's the date tonight? Who was the demon emperor? Who was the demon king of that place? Lin Feng went down the flight of stairs and went back to the pit of hell. He looked at the moon in the sky. It was dark again. The terrifying demon intent continued enveloping the area. The demons of the supreme ancient pit of hell forgot everything that had just happened. Lin Feng landed next to Yi Yun and the others. They looked back at Lin Feng, curious but silent. Let's leave the supreme ancient pit of hell, said Lin Feng. They had to leave, otherwise the demon could regret, and they would have no chance to leave anymore. Even saints could die in here. All right, Yi Yun and the others nodded. Could they leave though? They had thought a bit too much of themselves when coming to the supreme ancient pit of hell. They had thought they'd have lots of opportunities, but actually, once inside, all they faced was danger. Some of them had been killed instantly. After Lin Feng and the others left, the demon king was still in the palace, motionless. He was waiting for someone to wake him up. Demon intent filled the air. Under the palace, a demon king appeared where Lin Feng was standing a moment before. He was wearing a black robe, and he looked up at the unseen demon king calmly. He refused such an incredible opportunity, whispered the cultivator, before turning into black smoke and disappearing again. 5 days later, Lin Feng and the others escaped the supreme ancient pit of hell. Luckily, this time, nothing happened to them. We're out and alive, said the fat guy, grinning with joy. He raised his head and looked at the sun. It was such a beautiful day. After spending days in the pit of hell, it felt so good to see the sun again. We're out. Yi Yun smiled. They were alive, so awesome. Daimon, thank you. Qi Lianshan said to Daimon. He was deeply grateful. Without you, we'd be dead. Indeed, Daimon, thank you so much, agreed Yi Yun. They didn't look proud and arrogant at all anymore. However, Lin Feng just smiled wryly and sighed. Unfortunately, Lan Gunhua Qianyu died. It wasn't worth it. They had died for nothing. I'm done with these damn forbidden territories, said Qi Lianshan angrily. Dying there was worthless. Dying after an incredible and explosive battle was worth it, but dying in that horrible world was useless, and it was all up to luck. Don't tell anyone what happened in the supreme ancient pit of hell, said Lin Feng. Everybody nodded. They knew that Daimon had found something. He had gone into the palace of the moon, but they were going to keep that secret. There are things people don't need to know, said Yi Zhiyun smiling. All right, we're alive, and I think it's the first time so many people come out of a forbidden territory alive. Let's go back and see what people say. Yes, let's go back to the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, said Qi Lianshan. The group of 4 left and didn't look back. People from the supreme animal world didn't pay too much attention to the humans who had gone to the supreme ancient pit of hell, but the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds paid a lot of attention to them, especially since Qiong Jiutian and Qiong Haiya had gone there too and had come back. Many people in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds admired them. They wanted to know the secrets of the supreme ancient pit of hell. People talked about Qiong Jiutian and Qiong Haiya everywhere, and all the time those days, they had come out from a forbidden territory alive. The others were probably dead inside, including Mu Shanzi. Some people who had explored the mystery of the supreme ancient pit of hell told some powerful groups what the supreme ancient pit of hell looked like, but those groups didn't share those pieces of information. Yi Yun, Lin Feng, and the others separated. Lin Feng went back to the World Clan. What had happened in the forbidden territory felt like a dream. He would never forget it. Chapter 2340, Canonization Area in the Fortune Shrine. Lin Feng's clone was seated with the diviner. The diviner frowned and looked at Lin Feng, stunned. You're saying that there's an ancient palace in the supreme ancient pit of hell inside the Crimson Moon, and that a demon king is inside? The diviner was amazed. He didn't know what was in the supreme ancient pit of hell either. Therefore, when Lin Feng told him about his experience, he was astonished. Yes, in the castle, there's a demon king with a demon blade, asleep. But he could still communicate with me, and he asked me to wake him up. He said he'd transmit his strength to me, Lin Feng said to the diviner. In this world, nobody else knew as many of Lin Feng's secrets as the diviner, so Lin Feng didn't need to hide anything from him. But I didn't trust him, so I chose to leave, and he let me go peacefully, finished Lin Feng. What you mean is that the ancient demon king is sleeping and can still control the supreme ancient pit of hell. He let you leave alive and didn't do anything to you? Indeed. Otherwise, I would be dead. It's such an incredible mystery. People are all talking about Qiong Jiutian and Qiong Haiya who have come out alive, and they don't even know that those 2 were able to come out alive thanks to you. They don't even know about that demon king you're telling me about, said the diviner, shaking his head. If I have the opportunity, I will talk to the leader of the shrine and see if he knows something. The high priest of the Celestial Sound Shrine has been imprisoned in the supreme ancient pit of hell for such a long time. How terrifying! All the demons inside are terrifyingly strong. Also, you've probably heard of that demon 1,000 years ago? Said Lin Feng. He was wondering who the demon emperor was. The demon king said that Lin Feng was the demon emperor. The demon emperor of 1,000 years ago? The diviner was surprised. You must be talking about Saint Emperor Shi the demon. He didn't leave many traces in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. Not many people know about him, but those who do know how terrifying he was. The Fortune Shrine knows more about him than the other shrines because 1,000 years ago, the Fortune Shrine's destiny wheel rotated because of him. This time around, it was because of you. Saint Emperor Shi the demon. Lin Feng frowned. 1,000 years ago, the destiny wheel of the Fortune Shrine rotated, and now it had spun because of Lin Feng. Was it reincarnation? Was the demon king right? Was Lin Feng the demon emperor? What kind of person was Saint Emperor Shi the demon? Asked Lin Feng. Mysterious, extremely strong, and he became strong very quickly. He also disappeared mysteriously. The shrines were looking for him, but he had completely disappeared. Some people say he's probably traveling the world. Some people say he must have been killed by the shrines, said the diviner slowly. I think they're all wrong. Maybe the demon emperor is in the supreme ancient pit of hell, said Lin Feng. The diviner frowned. Saint Emperor Shi the demon in the supreme ancient pit of hell? Indeed, I saw some scriptures in there which were written by him personally. He seems to have many connections to the demon king. The diviner frowned. Are you sure about the scriptures? I'm sure. I've seen them before. Nobody can have the exact same writing in this world, said Lin Feng. He was certain. So, I really need to talk to the leader of the shrine, said the diviner sharply. Saint Emperor Shi the demon had an extraordinary destiny. He was mysterious and terrifying. If he was in the supreme ancient pit of hell, it wasn't surprising that there was no news about him in the outside world. Lin Feng, you need to get prepared. Your fighting abilities have reached the top of the Xingdi layer, right? Said the diviner to Lin Feng. Yes, said Lin Feng nodding. Not bad, you need to try and become a saint now, said the diviner. Even though Lin Feng had no cultivation level, he could also try to become a saint, or at least have a similar level. Lin Feng was surprised at this and stared at the diviner. In the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, there's a sealed area called the canonization area. That place opens once every 1,000 years. In there, some people have the opportunity to be canonized. It happens only every 1,000 years. Every 1,000 years, people at the top of the Xingdi layer go there and try their luck. The canonization area doesn't disappoint people. At least 3 people must become saints, or even more. It depends on their luck and abilities. Now, it will soon open and many people from the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds will go there to try their luck. The diviner smiled. Lin Feng was amazed. The canonization area sounded like an incredible place. Who built such an awesome place as the canonization area? Said Lin Feng. People in the old days. I've heard that there are mysteries inside. There are some details only known to insiders. It's one of the most mysterious places of the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, replied the diviner. Lin Feng nodded. Few people knew what there was inside. Unfortunately, this time, when you went to the supreme ancient pit of hell, many saint emperors died. They could have become saints. Of course, the opening of the canonization area will draw people's attention even more than your adventure in the supreme ancient pit of hell. People refuse to go to the supreme ancient pit of hell, including some old terrifying cultivators, but the canonization area draws people's attention. The diviner smiled. Lin Feng understood. Some saint emperors practiced cultivation for many years, but didn't manage to transcend worldliness and attain holiness. They couldn't miss this opportunity. They were even ready to risk their lives. At that time, will I participate as Daimon from the World Clan, or as Lin Feng? Lin Feng grinned. The diviners smiled back. As you wish, as long as you separate those 2 people carefully. Don't let anyone know that Lin Feng is Daimon. I understand, said Lin Feng nodding. The disciples of the Fortune Shrine rarely go out, but this time, some of them will go and try to become saints. Don't fight against them there, the diviner directed. Lin Feng nodded. All the shrines were gathering their saint emperors and asking them to get prepared for the canonization area's event. It was extremely rare. It was also an opportunity to see the strongest cultivators of the continent of the Nine Clouds. Even the supreme animal world would participate. How are things going for the Void Phoenix clan? Asked Lin Feng. Nothing has happened. Qing Feng was imprisoned, but Shiju Lao Xian went there, so they can't do much to her. However, since Qianghaya came out of the supreme ancient pit of hell, the Void Phoenix clan is even more enthusiastic and really hopes they'll be able to make a marriage alliance with the Fire Shrine. All right, Lin Feng nodded. He had to get more information. There are many hidden saint emperors in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. They're waiting for the event. I wonder who will become a saint, the diviner mused. Lin Feng could feel that the canonization area was going to be an extraordinary event. Saints were rare, but saint emperors were also strong in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. Mu Shanzi had invited some of them to come to the supreme ancient pit of hell, but he didn't know all the saint emperors of the region. Becoming a saint wasn't easy. There were some old people who had been stuck at the Xingdi layer for a long time, and nobody needed to be invited to go to the canonization area. Even the supreme animal world could come. Lin Feng's real body was calmly practicing cultivation in the World Clan. Few people knew that he had come out of the supreme ancient pit of hell alive and gone back to the World Clan. He also wanted to try and become a saint at the canonization area. Chapter 2341. Saint Luck. The canonization area was in the central part of the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. Usually, it was a desert, because there was no chi left there, and a poor place to practice cultivation. It was difficult to imagine that in this place was the canonization area. A great many strong cultivators appeared there. Those strong cultivators looked composed, but on the inside, they weren't, especially those who had lived for a very long time. For people who didn't need a very long time to reach the top of the Xingdi layer, or some geniuses from shrines, becoming a saint wasn't as difficult as for other people. However, for old people it was quite difficult. They needed some help, luck, and opportunities. The canonization area was a great opportunity. In the northwest, an old man who was wearing a gray robe frowned angrily. Another 1,000 years have passed. Last time, I brushed past the opportunity to become a saint. This time, I have to succeed. In the west, another white-haired old man seemed calm, but on the inside, he thought, another 1,000 years have passed. How could I miss this opportunity again? The incredible chi which fills the air every 1,000 years shall be mine this time. Apart from them, many other old men arrived and thought the same. They had missed the opportunity to become saints 1,000 years before, so they had cultivated really hard for another 1,000 years and still hadn't managed to become saints. They had to seize the opportunity now. When Lin Feng arrived, he looked around in astonishment. So many strong cultivators. Are all the saint emperors of the continent of the Nine Clouds going to come? He was riding on Alma's back. Indeed, for saint emperors, the opportunity to become a saint was incredible. One more step and they'd transcend worldliness and attain holiness. Father, have you asked about the details? Asked Alma. He was curious. I've heard that there was Saint Luck. I don't really know what it is though, said Lin Feng. It was difficult to imagine that such a desolate place could give birth to an essence called Saint Luck and could help cultivators become saints. There was no spiritual chi there. Do things turn into their opposite when they reach the extreme? Whispered Lin Feng. Daimon, called out a voice at that moment. Lin Feng turned around and saw Qi Lianshan. Qi Lianshan smiled and said, Daimon, you also came to try and become a saint? Indeed, said Lin Feng. Qi Lianshan arrived next to him and said, so many old people are here. They've gone through a lot in life. You're so strong and yet you feel under pressure? Asked Lin Feng. Of course, Qi Lianshan nodded. The more saint luck you absorb, the more chances you have to become a saint. Every 1,000 years, when someone obtains saint luck, the others want to kill them to steal it from them. I see. The saint emperors go insane in such circumstances, said Lin Feng. Becoming a saint was a saint emperor's most important goal. The cultivators of the shrines are extremely strong. They have saints' weapons. When saint luck appears, the situation becomes very dangerous. Look over there, you know who that old man in black clothes is? Asked Qi Lianshan to Lin Feng. I don't, admitted Lin Feng. The old man turned around. He looked dangerous. That Saint Emperor Freeze, he controls freezing Dao and his Dao has reached the maximum level. Not only can he freeze your body, but he can also freeze your thoughts and your soul. He can kill you 100 times in the twinkling of an eye. Apart from freezing Dao, he also understands a terrifying type of strength, empty space strength. You see? Qi Lianshan looked nervous. Lin Feng looked at the old man in dark clothes and nodded. He's a dangerous cultivator indeed. He can use empty space strength and freeze you in the blink of an eye. Indeed, the twinkling of an eye is enough. 1,000 years ago, he was already at the very top of the Xingdi layer. He couldn't become a saint and was unlucky. Now, another 1,000 years have passed, he can only be stronger, said Qi Lianshan. Lin Feng nodded. I can tell you one thing, the old people here are all terrifyingly strong. Even though there aren't many of them, they're all terrifying. They have 1,000 years of experience. With all the members of the shrines, it's going to be a tough competition. Over there, the members of the fire shrine have come. Qiongjiu Tian is quite famous these days, said Qi Lianshan. Lin Feng turned around and looked at Qiongjiu Tian and Qionghaia. They were with a group of strong cultivators from the fire shrine. Even Huashang was there. Even though he was weaker than many people who were present, he was still quite strong. He also wanted to try his luck. Qiongjiu Tian was the dangerous one, though. Strong cultivators from other shrines keep arriving. I'm going back to the members of the Earth Shrine. Daimon, be careful, said Qi Lianshan. All the members of the shrines would join hands to grab as much as Saint Luck as they could. I understand, Lin Feng waved. That area seemed boundless. There were people everywhere. Daimon, said someone coldly at that moment. It was Qionghaia. He said coldly, you came out alive. You're quite lucky. Lin Feng looked at Qionghaia and replied calmly, you sound like you came out relying on strength. Qionghaia was surprised and smiled. Of course, anyone who comes out of the supreme ancient pit of hell alive is lucky. But now we're going to rely on strength to steal Saint Luck. Be very careful though, you're probably not going to get any, but you could also die here. Thank you very much for your advice, Lin Feng replied coolly. At that moment, an invisible and intangible strength filled the air. This area contained absolutely no strength for 1,000 years, and then, once every 1,000 years, it was filled with energies again. There's an exit there, thought Lin Feng. The canonization area was sealed after that. People couldn't come in anymore. They could only leave. After obtaining Saint Luck, cultivators could escape through the exit. However, the less luck energy a cultivator managed to obtain, the less chance he had to become a saint using that method. Strong cultivators wanted to get as much luck energy as they could. Father, look over there. The map of the canonization area. Almo raised his head and saw a pattern. It was a map of the canonization area. Indeed, it's the map of the canonization area. It appears in the sky. That's amazing, but it's also going to make things much more complicated. The canonization area actually has 8 exits, so people who obtain Saint Luck can escape through those 8 exits, said Lin Feng. Many people were staring at the map in the sky. Those who had already been there 1,000 years before immediately started moving towards the center of the canonization area. They knew that their chances of getting Saint Luck were the highest there. Father, I still don't understand what Saint Luck is. What does it look like? Asked Alma. Get ready and we'll find out soon, said Lin Feng, staring at the map. There were several dazzling dots on the map, as if a mysterious strength were there. A dragon chanted, and a dazzling golden dragon appeared on the map. Alma's eyes twinkled. That dragon means Saint Luck? I think so. Let's go, shouted Lin Feng. Alma rose up in the air at full speed. Many other people rose up in the air too. Chapter 2342. Fighting over the Saint Luck. Dazzling golden lights appeared where the Saint Luck was, and people could find the coordinates on the map. When Lin Feng and all the other cultivators saw the golden dragon on the map, they all started flying in that direction. Father, I have the impression that that golden dragon is alive and terrifying. Is it really Saint Luck? Asked Alma uneasily. It's Saint Luck indeed, said Lin Feng. He was surprised too. The golden dragon glittered and was extremely fast. A gigantic wall appeared in the air, and the dragon landed on the wall before passing through it. The golden dragon roared, trying to escape, but the crowd sensed a terrifying freezing intent. It surrounded the dragon and he started freezing. The other strong cultivators had the impression their souls were going to freeze. Saint Emperor Freeze. Lin Feng looked at the old man in dark clothes at the very front. Lin Feng was impressed. Saint Emperor Freeze was terrifyingly strong. Father, should we attack? Asked Alma. He was eager to try. No rush. It's going to be a fierce competition. We should be patient, otherwise, everybody will be after us, said Lin Feng. He didn't participate in the battle. Many people thought the same as him and didn't attack. Qiongjiu Tian and Qionghaia were staying on the side, too, their eyes glittering. A great deal of Saint Luck was going to appear in the canonization area, and nobody wanted to be chased by everyone else. But some people were very self-confident, such as Saint Emperor Freeze. He appeared in front of the dragon and stretched out his hand. The dragon roared angrily and became even more dazzling and then turned into lights. Saint Emperor Freeze took him. For the time being, that Saint Luck was his. Many strong cultivators threw themselves at him, but Saint Emperor Freeze shot into the distance and said coldly, "Freeze!" The atmosphere around him froze. Nobody dared get too close to him, otherwise their souls could freeze, and they could die. Lights flashed, and Saint Emperor Freeze disappeared. He had an extremely powerful teleportation technique. "Chase him," said a few strong cultivators coldly. Nobody wanted to let him escape with Saint Luck. How strong! Lin Feng was astonished. Saint Emperor Freeze's freezing Tao had reached the maximum level, and with his teleportation technique, he could get so much done in such a short time. Saint Emperor Freeze was probably one of the strongest Saint Emperors present here. A dragon roared, dazzling lights appeared again, and formed an ice dragon. The crowd was stunned. Another gigantic dragon, a different one. Was it Saint Luck too? Go! Strong cultivators started moving towards the dragon, but at that moment, they heard a dragon roar extremely loudly. Behind the golden dragon and the ice dragon, a red dragon appeared, and then a fire dragon, and then an earth dragon, a dark dragon, a life dragon. 7 dragons had appeared. They were all Saint Luck. The crowd shot off in all directions towards all the dragons. Those 7 dragons were Saint Luck? Or were they actually one cosmic body that represented Saint Luck? "Father, I want the dark dragon, let's go see," said Alma, and flew towards the gigantic dark dragon. He passed in front of many strong cultivators. His speed was astonishing. He turned into a beam of light and crossed the canonization area in the blink of an eye. "I see it, many people are fighting over it," said Alma. Lin Feng released dazzling empty space lights. People used strength to fight, they didn't use weapons. If anyone dared use Saint's weapons, then everybody else would, and it would become a disaster. Alma roared out and charged in. The dark dragon was also very fast, but many people surrounded him. It glanced at them, very lifelike. "Father, that guy is a great oriental greenfinch rock from the Rock Clan. He's incredibly strong," said Alma to Lin Feng. The one who was the closest to the dark dragon had a gold holy helmet and sharp feathers. "Zha Mao Niao also wants to steal the dark dragon's Saint Luck, damn. He's so fast," swore Alma. The great rock's wings were gigantic and blotted out the sky. He was very impressive. Alma jumped into the crowd. He didn't want to let the dark dragon's Saint Luck go, but at that moment, some terrifying sharp claws moved towards it. The atmosphere was lacerated around everyone. The great oriental greenfinch rock's wings turned into sharp swords and swept everything away in his path. How fast! Lin Feng was astonished. He sensed a strong wind brush against his face. He couldn't even follow the great rock with his eye. The great oriental greenfinch rock's speed is astonishing, but expected too. The other strong cultivators pulled long faces as the great oriental greenfinch rock ran away with the Saint Luck. They had encircled him, but he had managed to get through, and now chasing him would be difficult. There's still Saint Luck left. The crowd looked at the sky and realized that there was no Saint Luck left on the map. Many strong cultivators wanted to get the Saint Luck from those who had taken it already. Someone has escaped already. He couldn't handle the pressure, so he escaped. They could see that on the map, someone had escaped with Saint Luck. "Father, I can sense that Saint Luck is incredible, but stealing some will be extremely difficult," said Alma. Lin Feng nodded. "Saint Luck just increases the chances of becoming a saint. It's not because you have Saint Luck that you will definitely become a saint. If you have Saint Luck but can't become a saint, it's useless. However, if you have the Saint Luck of the 7 dragons, then the chances of becoming a saint are extremely high," said Alma, taking Lin Feng to the center of the canonization area. "The Saint Luck is weakening," said Lin Feng when he saw the lights disperse slowly. The strong cultivators were slowly consuming the Saint Luck. "Daimon," said someone at that moment. It was Yi Zhiyun. "You're here too," Lin Feng smiled. "Yes, I wanted to try my luck too," smiled Yi Zhiyun. "So, do you think you'll manage to get some Saint Luck?" "Not necessarily. There are too many strong cultivators. replied Lin Feng easily. Indeed. That one is extremely strong. I saw him fight. He's scary, said Yijiyun, pointing at someone. Lin Feng saw a cultivator in black clothes, his chi strong. There are always talented individuals in hiding, agreed Lin Feng. At that moment, the person turned around. His eyes were bloodshot and proud. He looked like a demon from the pit of hell. It's him. Lin Feng was astonished. He recognized the man. How come he looks so evil now? Lin Feng was startled. According to legends, after King Chu, another genius had emerged in the Chu clan, but he had gone insane. Was Chu Chunqiu going to become insane too now? Because that cultivator was Chu Chunqiu. There's something wrong. That's the chi of the supreme ancient pit of hell. He came out of the supreme ancient pit of hell, so could it be that he absorbed some evil creatures there? Thought Lin Feng. Everything was possible when it came to Chu Chunqiu. He was insane. In the supreme ancient pit of hell, there had been many terrifying creatures, demons, and corpses. It was filled with death. Chu Chunqiu smiled at Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng frowned. Did Chu Chunqiu recognize him? Father, Saint Luck, 3 golden birds, shouted Alma suddenly. Not far from them, 3 birds moved in different directions. A bird disappeared. Lin Feng was stupefied. A bird suddenly disappeared as quickly as it showed up. There's something wrong. He went into some empty space strength. He's there. Lin Feng saw the bird reappear. The figure of the bird on the other side kept flickering. The last bird kept whistling, fissures appearing in the atmosphere around. It was moving very quickly. That's a terrifying empty space energy. Those birds all control empty space energy. With those 3 sources of Saint Luck, any strong cultivator could become a saint. Thought Lin Feng. Many cultivators who controlled empty space strength understood that and started chasing quickly. Chapter 2344. Killing. Qi Lianshan and Qiong Jiutian were fighting. Qiong Jiutian's fire was terrifying, but Qi Lianshan was strong too, and kept attacking him and forcing him backwards. Qiong Jiutian will have a big battle today, shouted Qi Lianshan cheerfully, oppressing Qiong Jiutian. Both of them were very strong, saint emperors of the very top of the Xingdi layer. The fat guy laughed at the 2 other cultivators of the fire shrine. He was very dangerous, and they knew it. Lin Feng and Qiong Haiya were fighting. Energies surged towards Lin Feng. Qiong Haiya smiled coldly and said, "Last time, you escaped. Today, I won't make the same mistake and let you run away." "Dream on," replied Lin Feng, smiling coldly. He was wondering what would happen if he killed a member of the Fire Shrine. Would the Fire Shrine dare go and start a war against the World Clan, even though they were a shrine? The Fire Shrine kept oppressing Qing Feng. Qiong Haiya wanted a marriage alliance with the Void Phoenix clan using Qing Feng. If Qiong Haiya died, that marriage alliance would be nullified. Lin Feng smiled coldly, his eyes filled with murder. A terrifying fireball appeared and surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng felt he was in an ocean of flames. He frowned at Qiong Haiya. Qiong Haiya wanted to kill him. "Since it's that way, I won't be polite," swore Lin Feng. His eyes suddenly became pitch black and a cage of darkness appeared around Qiong Haiya. Qiong Haiya was shocked. He was now in a dark illusion, no life in there, just death and cold. The earth and sky roared around him. God's strength invaded that world, and it became a realm of death. Qiong Haiya felt ice cold. He was shuddering. He released even more flames, and behind him, a fearsome spiritual fire appeared. Lights flared. Qiong Haiya threw himself at Lin Feng. 9 spiritual fireballs appeared and shot in all directions. However, a gigantic pitch-black fist appeared and moved towards his head, forcing him to retreat rapidly. "You can't leave my death world," said a voice. Qiong Haiya saw Lin Feng appear in front of him. At that moment, Lin Feng looked like a death god, an ancient demon, aggressive and frightening. Qiong Haiya sensed that Lin Feng's chi had changed and was astonished. Was this world a skill of the World Clan? Lights flashed and a fire hand appeared. Fire chi filled the air. Qiong Haiya moved too, the gigantic fire hand shooting towards Lin Feng. It contained a little bit of Saint's strength. Lin Feng was surrounded by that gigantic hand, like a cage. Qiong Haiya was using a Saint's weapon. Lin Feng released demon strength, which swept through the air. Lin Feng took out the great demon halberd of desolation, and a terrifying demon strength rose up and washed everything away. His great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky and destroyed the gigantic fire hand as Lin Feng continued moving forwards. "Feeble," said Lin Feng to Qiong Haiya emotionlessly. Qiong Haiya was staring at the great demon halberd of desolation, and his heart started pounding. How was that possible? It was the saint's weapon they had seen in the supreme ancient pit of hell. How had Lin Feng obtained it? "Initially, I wanted to have a fair battle with you, but you don't deserve fair treatment," said Lin Feng icily. He disappeared, empty strength lights flashed, and he reappeared in front of Qiong Haiya. His great demon halberd of desolation pressed forward with an indomitable will and broke everything in the way. "No!" Qiong Haiya sensed the terrifying power of the great demon halberd of desolation. He couldn't compete with it. He raised his hands in front of him, and something shattered loudly. The great demon halberd of desolation had destroyed his hands. "Die!" shouted Lin Feng coldly. The great demon halberd of desolation pressed towards Qiong Haiya's throat. "Destroy!" snarled Lin Feng as Qiong Haiya's body was being corroded by the demon strength and turned into demon qi. He wasn't a saint. His body could easily be destroyed using a saint's weapon. Lin Feng put the great demon halberd of desolation away and the cage disappeared. He reappeared outside and shouted, "Qi Lianshan, fatty here?" Qi Lianshan and the fat guy looked at Lin Feng. When they saw that Qiong Haiya wasn't there anymore, they were astonished. Had Lin Feng really killed Qiong Haiya? Qiong Jiotian and the other members of the fire shrine were stunned. Qiong Jiotian had been killed? However, Lin Feng didn't care. He looked at Qi Lianshan and the fat guy, and together they left at full speed. "Daimon, you're too brave," chortled the fat guy to Lin Feng. Even though it was the canonization area and dying was a risk all the cultivators agreed to take, there were still some people whom other people didn't want to kill, such as those members of the fire shrine whose family name was Qiong. But Daimon was insane. He had killed Qiong Haiya. Qiong Jiotian and the others didn't chase after Lin Feng. It was useless. They hadn't thought that Qiong Haiya would be killed. Daimon had dared to kill him. It doesn't really matter, does it? "Qi Lianshan, fatty, since we found each other here as well, let's join hands, all right? I want the two other birds. After that, if some birds who have Saint luck you need appear, I'll help you too. What do you think?" said Lin Feng indifferently, as if nothing important had happened. He didn't care about Qiong Haiya. Qiong Haiya had died because the members of the fire shrine had chased him. They probably understood that. "Damn, you're brutal. I'll follow you," laughed Qi Lianshan. The fat guy smiled and said, "All right, let's join hands. Some people are fighting against one bird and the other one is still flying away. Where do we go?" "Let's go to the one who's fighting already," said Lin Feng, accelerating. They all turned into beams of light, quickly arriving on the battlefield. Blood kept flying. A strong cultivator was killed by a group of people, and the Saint Luck reappeared. When a cultivator who had stolen Saint Luck was killed, as long as he hadn't assimilated and modified it, the Saint Luck reappeared. For someone like Alma, assimilating Saint Luck was extremely difficult, a long process. He needed to study it while assimilating it or it was useless. Everybody understood that. Therefore, when Lin Feng and the others arrived, everybody looked at them coldly. There was Saint Luck in Alma's body, visibly glittering. "It's incandescent, there's even a saint's weapon here." The fat guy sensed a terrifying qi. "Leave this one to us, please. If Saint Luck reappears again, we won't try and take it," said a strong cultivator from the empty space shrine. They really wanted this bird's Saint Luck. It contained empty space strength. "You want us to leave it to you? But what if others don't leave it to you? In the end, you might not be able to keep it, and then don't tell me you won't try to get the others," said the other strong cultivators around coldly. "As you said, if nobody steals it from us, we won't take the others, but if we don't get it, we'll continue trying to get Saint Luck. So what will you do?" retorted the shrine cultivators, releasing empty space strength. I can't possibly give up, said a strong cultivator coldly. He was also wearing an empty space robe. A light curtain appeared around him. Fatty, stop them, but be careful, don't let your attack affect me, said Lin Feng telepathically. The fat guy nodded and slowly drew closer to the group. An ancient mirror which looked like a shield appeared in his hand. He threw it out and shouted furiously. The sound wave caused by his voice bounced off the mirror, and instantly, everybody was stunned, their souls trembling. At that moment, a light covered the bird. A gigantic set of jaws appeared and devoured the bird. Oh no! The crowd saw a dazzling sword shoot towards Lin Feng, and he disappeared in empty space strength and reappeared in the distance. Someone released ancient imprints to surround him, but Lin Feng's great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky and the ancient imprints shattered. The strong cultivator who had released them was astonished. He couldn't believe his eyes. Chapter 2345, Guarding the Gateway. Father, it's awesome, exclaimed Alma after absorbing the bird. The fat guy didn't disappoint Lin Feng, and his saint's weapon was terrifyingly powerful. It had stunned everyone for a few seconds. After that, Lin Feng and Alma flew away. How do you feel? Asked Lin Feng to Alma. It contains an incredible empty space strength. It's in my brain now. If I were a cultivator of the very top of the Shengdi layer, I would really become a saint now. Unfortunately, I can only study it slowly, admitted Alma. He was very happy. I need to study it calmly. You deal with the rest, be careful. All right, go and study. Leave the rest to me. If I get the last bird's saint luck, I'll call you, said Lin Feng. The air was thrumming as a group of strong cultivators was chasing him. They were extremely fast. Lin Feng didn't turn around, he just glanced at the map in the sky now and then. He moved towards the last bird. Strong cultivators had finally managed to catch up with it, and someone had already captured it. Alma needs the 3 birds. The saint luck will be complete only if he gets the 3 of them, thought Lin Feng, moving as fast as lightning. He glanced at the battle. People had already taken saint's weapons out, and were dying one after another. Everybody was vigilant, and the one who had already captured the saint luck was covered with blood. He could die any time. The only reason why he hadn't died yet was that people were trying to think of a strategy for themselves. If they stole it now, then everybody else would encircle them. At that moment, everything seemed to stop, and a figure appeared in front of the one who had taken the saint luck. A terrifying spear thrust towards his head and an illusionary hand closed on him. The hand grabbed him, and the figure left with the cultivator. We're too slow. The crowd's faces froze. They were too slow. They felt extremely slow. After that person disappeared, a terrifying wave washed through them. Many people withdrew. What a powerful saint's weapon. It contains saint's deceleration strength. It was like time had stopped. Lin Feng didn't stop. Some people were chasing him. Alma had obtained 2 birds already. How could he stop? Someone has saint luck there, shouted someone. Lin Feng flew after him. Lin Feng realized that that person wasn't extremely fast, but he had 2 incredible saint's weapons. One of them was a disc which contained deceleration saint's energy and slowed his enemies down. The other one was a terrifyingly sharp spear. He had used that spear to kill many people a moment ago. With those 2 weapons, he was truly redoubtable. There. Lin Feng glanced at his great demon halberd of desolation. It was a high-level saint's weapon. He could probably kill the man easily with it. Lin Feng accelerated. He couldn't fly any faster. People around heard sonic booms. He slowly got rid of the people behind him. Only people who controlled speed-related energies continued chasing the cultivator. The one who had obtained the saint luck turned his head and looked back at Lin Feng, smiling coldly. Lin Feng had saint luck, a terrifying saint's weapon, and dared chase him. He really wanted to die. The cultivator activated his disc again, turning suddenly, and the disc diffused lights which filled the air. The deceleration lights were so powerful that space and time became chaotic. Lin Feng sensed an invisible and intangible strength surround his body. His muscles stiffened up as he slowed down against his will. The spear moved towards his head, undeterred. That cultivator wanted to kill Lin Feng as quickly as possible. Lin Feng was soaked with cold sweat. This man was terrifying. Lin Feng released an awesome strength. He had God's strength. How could he sit and wait for death? "Go in," said Lin Feng coldly. The cage of darkness appeared, but the spear destroyed the cage of darkness and continued shooting towards Lin Feng. Great empty space technique. Lin Feng jumped into empty space and released strength. Then his great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky. The spear pierced through the empty space strength and appeared in front of Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng's great demon halberd of desolation was moving towards his enemy's throat and beheaded him. How dangerous! Lin Feng left the empty space and the terrifying spear moved behind him already. If he hadn't used the great empty space technique, he would have died. Another terrifying chi filled the air. Lin Feng continued flying forwards at full speed. Then he called Alma again for him to eat the man. "Father, I have the 3 birds Saint Luck, but now the situation is difficult for you, they're all chasing you." "Yes, I have to escape," said Lin Feng. If a group of people with Saint's weapons surrounded him, he would definitely die. Otherwise, he had just obtained 2 terrifying Saint's weapons. But this time, Lin Feng had obtained 3 birds Saint Luck and the strong cultivators behind wouldn't leave the matter at that. They were all chasing him as quickly as they could. Lin Feng grunted coldly. He was holding his great demon halberd of desolation firmly and his chi was ominous. The great demon halberd of desolation was a high-level Saint's weapon, but Lin Feng didn't really understand its particular strength. Maybe he was still too weak. He couldn't use it to overrun all fortifications. But even this way, it was sufficiently terrifying. They want to die. Lin Feng landed at the top of a mountain and suddenly stopped. The 2 fastest cultivators behind him controlled empty space strength and continued flying towards him. "Imprison," said Lin Feng coldly. The 2 cultivators suddenly saw darkness fill the air around them. They used their saint's weapons to destroy the cage, but the great demon halberd of desolation was sweeping towards them. His face turned deathly pale. He released as much empty space strength as he could. Boom! The great demon halberd of desolation contained a terrifying saint's power. The demon chi instantly corroded that cultivator's body, and he vanished. The other one was so scared that he fled as fast as he could. Lin Feng raised his saint's weapon and moved back. He went back to the top of the mountain, looking apathetic. The strong cultivators who were chasing him all stopped. Lin Feng had the great demon halberd of desolation. He looked like a demon king. He said to the crowd coldly, "I have the 3 birds, and if anyone attacks me, I can guarantee that I will kill them. We came out of the supreme ancient pit of hell, rogues of all kinds running wildly. So be careful. You also came out of the supreme ancient pit of hell?" His halberd contains a terrifying demon saint strength. Could it be that it's from the supreme ancient pit of hell? Lin Feng sneezed. Terrifying golden lights appeared around him. Someone charged him, trying to crush him. Lin Feng started bleeding, his skin was cracking. Against such a terrifying attack, only someone who had a saint's body could resist. "You want to die," said Lin Feng coldly. He suddenly disappeared, condensed empty space and wind cosmic energies in the great demon halberd of desolation, and it hacked towards his attacker and instantly killed him. The people behind didn't get involved. Those who wanted to attack realized it was too late. Lin Feng was already back at the top of the mountain, standing there like a demon king. "With that halberd, he can kill us in one strike." They were astonished. He didn't lie to them. If anyone dared attack, he'd kill them instantly. Very quickly, some more Saint Luck is going to appear. "Are you going to stay here and waste your time?" asked Lin Feng detachedly. The crowd's eyes glittered. Lin Feng was too fast, and his great demon halberd of desolation was terrifying. Chapter 2346. Leaving with the Saint Luck. Lin Feng was standing there, holding his great demon halberd of desolation. Even though his enemies were cautious, they didn't give up. Some of them charged him. Lin Feng was angry. These people were dangerous. If they had a single opportunity, they'd kill him. At that moment, Lin Feng sensed danger and shot up in the air, but sharp blades still crashed onto his body and blood gushed out extremely painfully. Empty space saint's weapon. Lin Feng grimaced. He had been attacked by a saint's weapon which contained empty space strength, but was invisible and intangible. He raised his head and saw a strong cultivator who was holding an extremely sharp crankset, spinning it at high speed. The crankset disappeared. Lin Feng sensed a sharp energy surround him again. His great demon halberd of desolation turned into a gigantic demon dragon and lunged towards the man. He retreated quickly. There was an explosion. Lin Feng groaned with pain, his muscles twitching. He had the impression his brain was going to explode. A peerless and sharp chi shot towards Lin Feng. One person had attacked, so the others chipped in as well. "Piss off," shouted Lin Feng. He didn't turn around to look at the man behind him, but knew his chi was terrifying. His dripping great demon halberd of desolation came back. There was a rumble behind him, and Lin Feng's mind trembled, his iron will keeping him conscious. Die! The attacks blotted out the sky and covered the earth. They really wanted to kill him. Deadly empty space strength surrounded him. He was surrounded by millions of threads of empty space cosmic energies. Lin Feng suddenly disappeared and reappeared in the crowd, instantly removing someone's head. "Daimon!" shouted someone. The fat guy appeared behind the crowd. He helped him and bombarded some people in the crowd. They hadn't expected that someone would help Lin Feng here. Lin Feng's great demon halberd of desolation swept away cultivators all around him. Heads exploded one after another. The great demon halberd of desolation was a devastating weapon. They couldn't withstand a single attack. "Go!" Qi Lianshan also arrived and descended from the sky. They continued destroying people and fighting their way forwards. Thunder rocked and boomed, shaking the earth and sky. When their enemies recovered enough to look at Lin Feng and the others, they were already far away. Lin Feng and the others went to a place with fewer people. If the fat guy and Qi Lianshan hadn't helped Lin Feng, it would have been dangerous for him. Even with the great demon halberd of desolation, he wouldn't have been able to deal with so many people who had saints' weapons as well. "Thank you." Lin Feng smiled. "Why would you thank us?" "You saved us last time," replied Qi Lianshan happily. "You're really brave. 3 birds and you gave them all to the dragon." His cultivation level is not high enough. Even with the 3 birds, he won't become a saint, unfortunately. As long as he understands them, then when the right time comes, he'll become a saint. When conditions are ripe, success is naturally achieved. "There's nothing unfortunate," said Lin Feng indifferently. The 2 others just nodded. "He should assimilate the saint luck quickly, otherwise people are going to chase us unceasingly. I'll take him to the exit. When he leaves, nobody will be able to steal his saint luck anymore," said Lin Feng. Qi Lianshan and the fat guy followed Lin Feng to an exit. That was a good solution. After a short time, Lin Feng and the others arrived at the exit. There were no strong cultivators guarding it. When the other people saw that Lin Feng and those 2 had joined hands, they didn't dare attack them anymore. "Little boy, you leave first. I'll get to you when I leave." "Father, be careful," said Alma, roaring as he became gigantic again and left. Lin Feng didn't leave. He stayed at the gate waiting for Alma to get far enough away. Finally, things calmed down again. "I wonder when Saint Luck is going to appear again," whispered the fat guy, frowning. Lin Feng looked at the sky and said, "I wonder what this place is. How come Saint Luck appears here every 1,000 years? Who knows? Maybe a terrifying cultivator created this place, but we can't see those people," Qi Lianshan mused. At that moment, dazzling lights appeared on the map in the sky. The 3 friends were astonished. "What an incredible chi! Let's go. There could be Saint Luck." Indeed. The 3 friends' figures flickered. After a short time, they arrived, along with ever more strong cultivators. A momentous chi was rising there. Is it the way Saint Luck is formed? What exactly is Saint Luck? Wondered Lin Feng. From what Alma had told him, Saint Luck allowed him to understand things. It was a kind of celestial Tao. Lin Feng understood that such understanding was related to the process people went through to become saints. After understanding one's own Tao perfectly, a cultivator could fuse it together with the celestial Tao, the Tao of the earth and sky. The cultivator's body became a part of the land, it became sacred. Everything seemed to be about fusing together with the earth and sky. Lin Feng was on a strange path, the earth and sky had abandoned him. He hadn't been able to break through to the Huangqi layer, then becoming a great emperor had been completely impossible. He had his own cultivation. For people to become saints, they had to understand celestial Tao, the earth and sky, the world. Therefore, to saints, people who hadn't reached that cultivation level were like tiny little insects. Even saint emperors at the very top of the Xingdi layer couldn't compete with saints. Saints had transcended worldliness and attained holiness. A dazzling fire unicorn appeared. Fire-type Saint Luck. Many people charged ahead, but many other people were waiting. The crowd saw a terrifying qi surging out. Many different figures which contained Saint Luck appeared, and they were all different, unlike a moment before. 7 Saint Luck entities. The crowd was dumbstruck. And that gigantic ancient imprint must be an Earth-type Saint Luck, said Qi Lianshan, staring at an ancient imprint flying in the sky. He flashed towards it. Lin Feng followed, he had promised he'd help them. Everybody, stop, said someone coldly at that moment. The crowd was startled and saw a group of people. Lin Feng and the others stopped and looked at them. They're all shrine members. They all joined hands. Many people were astonished. Qi Lianshan called out a strong cultivator of the earth shrine. Qi Lianshan was shocked, he said to Lin Feng, the shrines are joining hands, don't get involved this time. I'm off. Qi Lianshan followed after the members of the earth shrine. The fat guy nodded at Lin Feng and headed over to the group of cultivators from the soul shrine. The shrines stopped everyone, including the birds, after the 7 creatures appeared distinctly and clearly. At that moment, a few other strong cultivators gathered. Saint Emperor Freeze, Saint Emperor Xie Feng, they're together. Do they want to stop the shrines? Thought the other cultivators. The shrines joined hands and wanted to share the Saint Luck between them. The strong beasts of the supreme animal world are with them. When the crowd saw a unicorn, a white lion, and other terrifying beasts together, they understood. Apart from the shrines, other people are also making alliances. If they don't form groups, they won't be able to get any Saint Luck, and the shrines will get all of it. They said to one another. Lin Feng looked at the members of the Fortune Shrine. They were wearing white robes. They had an elegant and smart carriage. That Saint Luck unicorn is ours, said a strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine, pointing at the fire unicorn. It's mine, retorted a unicorn coldly. How could he give it to the Fire Shrine? Chapter 2347. Canonization Mountain. All the strong cultivators were standing there, and a great battle was on the verge of breaking out. At that moment, some special strength filled the air. The atmosphere was distorted. Instantly, 2 Saint Luck entities were absorbed. Go! All the strong cultivators of the Empty Space Shrine released empty space strength in a dazzling display. Their figures streaked across the sky and they disappeared. Oh no, they took 2 Saint Luck entities away, swore the crowd. Even the other members of the shrines were stupefied. The strong cultivators of the Empty Space Shrine were extremely strong. With empty space energy and their saints' weapons, they could do things quickly. They had just taken 2 Saint Luck entities and were already at the exits. Nobody could catch up with them. Damn shrines. And they joined hands, said someone coldly. The atmosphere started freezing. A cultivator threw himself at a Saint Luck creature. Condense. Ancient imprints appeared all around and turned into gigantic words. That person could only watch it come in horror. Die. Many dazzling lights struck him and he vanished, killed in the blink of an eye. He hadn't had even a second to react. Even if he had time, how could he have resisted a saint's weapon? It was Saint Emperor Xie Feng. He was killed in the blink of an eye even though he was a Saint Emperor at the top of the Xingdi layer. That's the power of saints' weapons, especially when people join hands. When Saint Emperor Freeze saw that, he pulled a long face. Nobody would dare steal Saint Luck creatures in such circumstances. What a tragic death. Seal the area, and when we agree on who the Saint Luck entities belong to, we can reopen it, said a strong cultivator from a shrine. Everybody was stunned. Seal the atmosphere? People who weren't from shrines were furious. Lin Feng glanced over at someone who was going to a place nobody had noticed. The reason Lin Feng paid attention to that person was because it was Chu Chun Chiu. What is the secret of this place? How is Saint Luck created? Lin Feng repeated to himself. Chu Chun Chiu slid over to the place from which Saint Luck seemed to come. I don't want that Saint Luck, you enjoy yourselves, said Saint Emperor Freeze coldly. He followed Chu Chun Chiu as well. Many people noticed this. Could the place where the Saint Luck was created harbor other mysteries? Lin Feng's heart was pounding. There was a vortex where the Saint Luck was created. Lin Feng could sense a thick qi there. Chu Chun Chiu flew ahead and penetrated into the vortex. The crowd was astonished. How brave. Nobody dared do that, but he plunged right in. 1,000 years have passed again. If I don't become a saint this time, when will I? Thought Saint Emperor Freeze. Then he flew ahead and dove into the vortex also, not caring about the consequences. Lin Feng was just standing under the vortex and he sensed some celestial Tao. He raised his head looking perplexed. What kind of strength was celestial Tao? He had his own world. Could his own world generate celestial Tao too? God Tao was his Tao, but he had the impression something was missing. Lin Feng flashed ahead. He entered the vortex and quickly realized he was somewhere else. It was another world. There was an endless amount of strength in there. Where are we? Whispered Lin Feng. It was a strange world. He couldn't see clearly. Celestial Tao is dimly discernible, whispered Saint Emperor Freeze. He had been a Saint Emperor for such a long time, he really wanted to become a saint. Suddenly, more figures appeared behind them. Lin Feng was startled. Many cultivators were walking in there alone, and they weren't from the shrines. They knew they couldn't steal the Saint Luck from the shrines, so they had followed Saint Emperor Freeze. What a strange place, murmured everybody. A terrifying strength appeared and made everybody shake. Clouds appeared and a strong wind started blowing. A mountain became visible. The crowd looked at the mountain. It seemed extremely close and extremely far away at the same time. A figure flew up. He wanted to get closer to the mountain, but it looked enigmatic and unfathomable. It was extremely high and it seemed impossible to get close. This place is called the canonization area, so that mountain could be the canonization mountain, said someone. Everybody looked at the mountain as if it were a holy mountain, a holy creature. It seemed so close and yet so far. The crowd saw a demon fork appear in Chu Chun Chiu's hand, and he suddenly threw it at the mountain. The demon fork crashed into the mountain. People's hearts pounded. Was he insane? And why could his fork reach the mountain, and they couldn't? Boom boom boom. A terrifying celestial Tao oppressed the atmosphere. People couldn't compete with it. That kind of strength. Lin Feng frowned and looked at Chu Chun Chiu. Was Chu Chun Chiu the same as he used to be? Or had he changed after the supreme ancient pit of hell? Celestial Tao deceives people, said Chu Chun Chiu. He released demon qi and absorbed the vitality of the area. He slowly walked forwards, moving farther and farther from the crowd. When he stopped, the crowd realized he was at the foot of the mountain. How come he managed to get there? The crowd frowned. Lin Feng was astonished too. Nobody could get close to the mountain but Chu Chun Chiu could. Did it mean that he was going to become a saint? And what did celestial Tao deceives people mean? Lin Feng's figure flickered. He moved towards the mountain too. However, he realized he couldn't get close. Lin Feng wondered whether it existed for real or not. Maybe it's just an illusion, a mirage. But why did Chu Chun Chiu manage to reach it? Thought Lin Feng. He continued walking forwards, but couldn't get close to it. The distance between him and the mountain remained the same. Some strong cultivators released empty space strength and tried, but they failed too. It's fake? Maybe it's a mixture of truth and falsehood? Thought Lin Feng with a sudden smile. He regained his calm. He didn't try to walk towards the mountain anymore. However, his figure became blurry and he disappeared from their field of vision. After a millisecond, Lin Feng reappeared at the foot of the mountain. Lin Feng and Chu Chun Chiu then suddenly appeared in another area. What's going on? The crowd was astonished, dumbstruck. Those two people had reached the mountain and then they had disappeared all of a sudden. When Saint Emperor Freeze saw that, he started shaking with emotion. I see. Transcend worldliness and attain holiness. I was too stubborn all those years, and it had the opposite effect. Actually, it's just one step. Saint Emperor Freeze took a step forwards and disappeared. He arrived in front of the mountain too. The crowd was astonished. Saint Emperor Freeze had understood something? At that moment in the outside world, there was a great battle going on. Many people who were alone and didn't belong to shrines died. Even some members of the shrines died. The Fire Shrine obtained one Saint Luck entity. The Fortune Shrine and the Earth Shrine also obtained a Saint Luck entity and left the battlefield. They weren't greedy and didn't try to obtain more. Some people who were hopeless did like Lin Feng and the others and entered the vortex. Chapter 2348. Understanding at the Canonization Mountain, Chu Chun Chiu, Lin Feng, and Saint Emperor Freeze were calmly standing there and could sense a clear celestial Tao. Saint Emperor Freeze looked at Chu Chun Chiu and Lin Feng and smiled. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Without you, I wouldn't have understood what celestial Tao is. It's an illusion, it's not something you chase, it's something that's a part of you. Your body is like the celestial Tao, the same rules which apply to nature also apply to your body. So many years have passed and finally, we're going to have an opportunity to become saints. Then he sat down cross-legged facing the mountain. They didn't need Saint Luck there. They could study celestial Tao and see if they could transcend worldliness and attain holiness. The same rules which apply to nature also apply to your body, whispered Lin Feng. He was different from other people. His body didn't work like nature. He had his own world. He was a king there, but could there be celestial Tao in his own world? Celestial Tao deceives people. How could it also make your body work like nature? Whispered Chu Chun Chiu. He looked furious, more like a demon than ever. He didn't want to respect the rules of the world. Saint Emperor Freeze, Lin Feng, and Chu Chun Chiu were all thinking about celestial Tao. They all had different viewpoints, but who would become a saint? In the distance, many people looked at the mountain, wondering how they could get there. How had Saint Emperor Freeze, Lin Feng, and Chu Chun Chiu gone there? Had they understood anything in particular? And could they study something in particular over there? Saint Emperor Freeze is practicing cultivation. He's studying how to become a saint, said someone. How many people will become saints this time? All those people were saint emperors, one step away from becoming saints, but they needed to understand how. Becoming a saint wasn't something which could be done using strength. Lin Feng's eyes were closed. He had been there for 5 days already. He was sitting calmly in his own world. The last time, when strong cultivators had surrounded him in the Black Phoenix Valley, he had understood a lot. However, he hadn't modified his god's strength enough. He could still improve it. Lin Feng was in the sky of his world, above the clouds. A strong wind started blowing. He felt like a god. Could he create his own celestial Tao? Cultivators studied celestial Tao to become saints. They all had different ways of studying and understanding things. The goal was then to transcend worldliness. Lin Feng was different from other people. Did he have to make his own celestial Tao? Tian Tao is dimly discernible, but it's real, a mixture of truth and falsehood. It's like an illusion at the same time. Lin Feng's figure flickered and he disappeared. He reappeared in a city in his own world. These years, Lin Feng's world had evolved on its own, so there were many cities. It almost looked like a real world. Lin Feng was in front of the Canonization Mountain and at the same time in his own world. Saint Emperor Freeze was trying to make his body become celestial Tao itself. Chu Chun Chiu thought that celestial Tao deceived people. Time passed, things changed, there were fewer and fewer people in the canonization area. Many people had already left the area of the mountain. The map in the world outside had already disappeared. Far from the canonization mountain, Cheongjiotian was in a fire city. Around him were many cultivators from the fire shrine, bathing in an ocean of flames. The fire shrine had obtained a Saint Luck entity, and they had given it to Cheongjiotian. Afterwards, they had made Cheongjiotian practice cultivation and decided to practice cultivation around him to benefit from his qi. That way, maybe everybody would be able to benefit from Saint Luck. The members of the Earth Shrine gave the Saint Luck to Qi Lianshan. Qiong Tian and Qi Lianshan were both Saint Emperors of the very top of the Xingdi layer. They had better chances to become saints than the others. The Fortune Shrine also obtained Saint Luck, and they were all trying to use it. That way, everybody increased their chances of becoming saints at least some. Becoming a saint wasn't something which happened in one night. Therefore, years passed and the canonization area grew truly calm. Nobody became a saint. A terrifying qi filled the air in the cave where Qiong Tian was. Very quickly, it enveloped the entire canonization area. People around Qiong Tian suddenly opened their eyes. They looked sharp. He broke through. They all looked at Qiong Tian, who was bathing in flames. Saint Qi. It was very intense. Qiong Tian was in the process of becoming a saint. "I'm about to become a saint," shouted a voice furiously in another place. Saint Qi rolled in waves there too. Someone else leveled up. 2 people became saints. Thought the crowd, shaking. Every 1,000 years, there were at least 3 people who became saints thanks to the canonization area. So far, 2 people seemed to have become or were becoming saints. It was incredible. Qiong Tian was bathing in flames. He opened his eyes and stood up, much taller now. Now, if he wanted, he could stretch out his hands and touch the sky. What a powerful strength. That's the spirit. Qiong Tian touched the sky. A hole appeared there. Using celestial Tao was incredible. He took back his hand and left behind a hole with fire in the sky. That was the power of a saint. The sky was burning. The members of the fire shrine felt released from pressure. Would the World Clan dare do anything to him now? Let's go. Qiong Tian slowly walked towards the exit of the canonization area. Qiong Tian, go back to the fire shrine. Your teacher will be so happy. You're so young and you're already a saint. A strong cultivator smiled. Qiong Tian looked at him coldly, which made that person shudder with fear. He immediately lowered his head. Qiong Tian had become a saint and looked completely different. "I'll go to the World Clan before going back to the fire shrine," said Qiong Tian coldly. "World Clan?" That cultivator was surprised. "Yes, I'm going to kill people," said Qiong Tian with murder in his eyes. Very quickly he left. A strong cultivator also left after him. Qi Lianshan. "You want to go to the World Clan? But now we are both saints, we're going to see who's stronger now," said Qi Lianshan. He also headed to the World Clan. He didn't know that Lin Feng wasn't there. At that moment, next to Lin Feng, Saint Emperor Freeze opened his eyes and smiled. He looked at Lin Feng and Chu Chunqiu, his eyes twinkling. Chu Chunqiu and Lin Feng had made him understand something, and thanks to them, he had finally become a saint. Now he had become a saint without Saint Luck. Lin Feng and Chu Chunqiu were still meditating. Chu Chunqiu kept absorbing the qi around him. A terrifying pitch-black vortex appeared around him. Celestial Tao deceived people. He wanted to go against the gods. He wanted to transcend worldliness and absorb the skies. That was his way. Lin Feng was in his world, his god's strength becoming more and more ominous. But it wasn't as aggressive anymore. It had become gentle and subtle. In front of Lin Feng was an ancient tree with green leaves. The leaves fell from the tree and landed on the ground. They turned orange, then it snowed, and the tree blossomed again. Lin Feng witnessed the 4 seasons. That's God's strength. Lin Feng controlled everything around him. His God Tao was his celestial Tao. He could create any kind of strength. Chapter 2349. Gathering in the World Clan. Lin Feng raised his head, his eyes still closed, and condensed strength, his qi much more powerful. However, after that, Lin Feng opened his eyes and looked disappointed. "I still don't understand. Why can't I understand?" whispered Lin Feng. He could control an incredible god strength, but he couldn't make his body work in resonance with celestial Tao. Only a little something was missing, but that little something was huge. If he understood that little something, he'd reach the 2nd level of his god layer. But that little something seemed to be so far. Outside, Lin Feng opened his eyes and looked at the mountain. The celestial Tao was dimly discernible. Saint Emperor Frieza's body had become nature itself. Chu Chunqiu had started a war against celestial Tao. That was their way, not Lin Feng's. He glanced at Chu Chunqiu. Chu Chunqiu seemed like he was going to destroy the canonization mountain. Lin Feng didn't do anything. Even though there were tensions between Chu Chunqiu and him, he couldn't attack him by surprise in such circumstances. That would have been a blasphemy as a cultivator. Lin Feng turned around and slowly walked away. After a few seconds, the canonization mountain seemed so far away from him. As Lin Feng left, he looked natural and unrestrained, confident and at ease. He didn't need to force himself, and staying there was useless. He needed a good opportunity to become a saint, and good comprehension. After leaving, Lin Feng contacted Alma. A short time later, he heard a dragon chant and golden lights appeared in the distance. Not bad, you understand empty space strength really well now, little boy. Lin Feng smiled. Father. Alma greeted him, landing in front of Lin Feng. How did it go? Asked Lin Feng. Even though he wasn't strong enough back then, the saint luck had been very beneficial to him. Very good. It's a mysterious feeling through, I can't really describe it. I made great progress though. Do you want to see? Asked Alma smiling. Lin Feng patted his head and smiled. No rush. I'm going back to the World Clan first. Lin Feng jumped onto Alma's back. Golden lights flashed and Alma rose up into the air. Cheong Jiao Tian took some members of the Fire Shrine to the World Clan. They started setting the atmosphere on fire in the World Clan. An ocean of fire appeared, scorching hot. Buildings were burning down one after another. A group of strong cultivators from the World Clan showed up and watched the members of the Fire Shrine coldly. An old man asked, Fire Shrine, what is this supposed to mean? Where's Daimon? Demanded Cheong Jiao Tian coldly, releasing his saint strength. A terrifying and oppressive fire surrounded the old man, who pulled a long face. The saint. That person was completely different from the rest now. He had transcended worldliness. He could easily crush them if he wanted. Daimon hasn't come back, said the old man. Cheong Jiao Tian groaned coldly and said, Daimon killed some of the members of the Fire Shrine in the canonization area, and now you think he can continue hiding? More fireballs appeared in the sky and oppressed the strong cultivators of the World Clan. They all pulled a long face. How could they compete with a saint? Cheong Jiao Tian warned someone at that moment. Qi Lianshan had arrived. He owed Lin Feng, and was worried that Cheong Jiao Tian would kill him, so he rushed over. You also became a saint. Fight against me, said Qi Lianshan. He looked so strong as a real mountain. The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine felt great pressure. Some of them could barely breathe. Cheong Jiao Tian suddenly turned around and said to Qi Lianshan, since it's that way, we'll fight. Cheong Jiao Tian suddenly disappeared and a gigantic hand with fire strength descended from the sky. Qi Lianshan grunted coldly. He wasn't afraid. A terrifying earth punch smashed into the fire hand. The energies exploded and disappeared. Cheong Jiao Tian reappeared in front of Qi Lianshan. Die, said Cheong Jiao Tian, pointing a finger filled with saint strength. Qi Lianshan released earth strength to surround his body. That finger was too fast and crashed onto his head, as sharp as a sword. Qi Lianshan moved backwards. Cheong Jiao Tian wasn't going to let him go, but he also felt the pressure. Qi Lianshan couldn't see Cheong Jiao Tian anymore. He still raised his fist, and earth strength surrounded the atmosphere around him. Thunder rumbled as Cheong Jiao Tian threw himself at him. What a powerful shell, thought Cheong Jiao Tian. He was annoyed. More and more energies surrounded him. At that moment, Qi Lianshan was amazed because he had used the best defense he could already. His fist became even harder and saint's lights twinkled around it. The finger and the fist collided. Both fighters were propelled backwards violently. They were both half-saints so far. Their cultivation wasn't very stable. Qi Lianshan, you want to cause trouble, swore Cheong Jiao Tian. His arms were shaking. Ha, Cheong Jiao Tian, you're a saint too now. And now you want to avenge Cheong Haiya, who was so useless. He was so weak. He chased Daimon to kill him, and Daimon killed him. You can't really say anything about it. Indeed, but now I'm strong enough, and I can come and destroy the World Clan if I want to, said Cheonggyo emotionlessly. The fire shrine isn't far from here. I've informed the shrine and soon many strong cultivators are going to come. Of course, they won't get involved. I will take care of Daimon personally. Qi Lianshan remained silent. Cheonggyo really wanted to kill Daimon. Even though Daimon was extremely strong, if he hadn't become a saint, he'd definitely die. People from the World Clan looked extremely worried. Saints were really terrifying. If Lin Feng came back and that Cheonggyo tried to kill him, they'd do their best to protect him. The members of the fire shrine didn't move, they were waiting. The fire shrine wasn't far from the northwest area. As expected, after a short time, a group of strong cultivators appeared in the distance. Their leader was a middle-aged man. He looked free from inhibitions and happy. He smiled and said, "Jiutian, you've broken through to the Sheng layer. You're a saint now, how wonderful." Cheonggyo turned around and looked at the middle-aged man. "Teacher, how come you came here personally?" "My disciple became a saint, how could I not come?" replied the middle-aged man with a smile. Next to him was a young man who looked cold, but then smiled indifferently and said, "Congratulations, fellow disciple. You've been a saint for hundreds of years, I just became one, you're much stronger than me," said Cheonggyo casually. "Right, fellow disciple, what are you doing here?" Cheonggyo looked furious and said, "Haya was killed by a member of the World Clan, I had to come here." "What is that supposed to mean?" said the young man, glancing at the members of the World Clan coldly. "The World Clan disappeared for a long time. Now you're back and you think you're rulers here?" At that moment, some people gazed into the distance sharply. Daimon! Cheonggyo saw Lin Feng and Alma. They were going to die, definitely. Cheonggyo charged towards Lin Feng instantly. Qi Lianshan flashed forwards to stop him, but Cheonggyo fellow disciple prevented him from moving. He said coldly, "Earth Shrine, don't intervene here." "Piss off," shouted Qi Lianshan coldly. He released a terrifying strength and rose up into the air. Cheonggyo teacher grunted coldly and disappeared. Cheonggyo shot towards Lin Feng quickly. Lin Feng frowned. He hadn't thought Cheonggyo would try to kill him so quickly. He had become a saint and was even faster than before. He pointed at Lin Feng with all his fingers. He wanted to destroy him. Chapter 2350. What a turnaround! Lin Feng looked at Cheonggyo and pulled a long face. Cheonggyo had become a saint. His fingers contained a terrifying amount of saint strength. There was fire all around him. Cheonggyo attacks reminded Lin Feng of the ancient holy techniques or sky-absorbing Dao strength. His attacks now contained saint's power. Alma's figure flickered and disappeared from there, but Cheonggyo just grunted coldly. He could still see them clearly. He released strength to surround them. Lin Feng and Alma sensed a terrifying fire penetrating into their bodies. Lin Feng released as much God strength as he could in his body, trying to escape, but Cheonggyo continued chasing him. He stretched out his fingers towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng had the impression he was surrounded by invisible and intangible chains. His face instantly turned deathly pale. Alma roared furiously, golden lights surrounding him. At the same time, he also released demon intent and brandished his claws. Flames struck his body and started burning away his life. Alma raised his head and roared even louder. He was a gigantic dragon, but those fingers could destroy him. "Alma!" shouted Lin Feng, his expression changing drastically. He hadn't thought Alma would jump in the way. "Father, leave!" shouted Alma. Lin Feng's heart twitched as he glared at Cheonggyo. Cheonggyo wanted to kill Alma. Lin Feng couldn't accept that. He immediately threw himself at him. "Die!" said Cheonggyo. Lin Feng sensed a terrifying saint strength surround him and could only snarl. Cheonggyo was much stronger than before. Lin Feng took out his great demon halberd of desolation and shouted furiously. It streaked across the sky. A demon trail appeared in the sky and the great demon halberd of desolation moved towards Cheong Jiutian's fingers. Cheong Jiutian grunted icily and continued moving towards Lin Feng without slowing. Die! Lin Feng released as much strength as he could. However, at that moment, a gigantic fire curtain appeared in front of Cheong Jiutian. It looked like a gigantic fire pearl. It enveloped the great demon halberd of desolation. Cracks appeared in it instantly, but then Cheong Jiutian appeared in front of Lin Feng, condensing a terrifying strength in his fist and punched out in Lin Feng's direction. Lin Feng condensed strength in his left hand and struck back against the fire fist. Saint's strength struck his fist and penetrated into his body. A terrifying black fire surrounded him. He couldn't escape, and now he was burning. "Father!" shouted Alma furiously. The strong cultivators of the World Clan turned deathly pale and moved towards Lin Feng at full speed. Lin Feng couldn't compete with a saint. "Daimon!" shouted Qi Lianshan. His face stiffened. Was Daimon going to die there? If Lin Feng didn't have an incredible god strength in his body, he would have died already. But he couldn't break free now. He looked at Cheong Jiutian, who looked like a fire god. "Saints understand celestial Tao. How could you compete with me?" "Daidemo," said Cheong Jiutian coldly. He sounded like he was fire incarnate. He was fire Tao. Cheong Jiutian and Saint Emperor Freeze are the same. Their body turned into an element for them to become saints, thought Lin Feng. Cheong Jiutian had turned into celestial Tao at that moment. It was the first time Lin Feng had fought against a saint and really sensed his strength. In the past, he had seen saints, but he had never had a real fight. He became celestial Tao. He studied celestial Tao. At that moment, Lin Feng had many thoughts. "Die," said Cheong Jiutian. He released even more strength, but at that moment, Lin Feng released a particular kind of strength and smiled back at Cheong Jiutian. He thought, since it's that way, I'll use God's strength. With God's strength, I can control anything. I wanted to turn into a real god, but I was wrong, because I am a real god already. Yes, the god of my body. My body is a god. I represent my body. Why would I use God's strength? I am God's strength. God's strength is me. Celestial Tao is me. Here is my world, so I am this world. I am his god too. "You're not dead yet?" said Cheong Jiutian when he saw Lin Feng smile. He was a bit surprised. Not only had he not managed to kill Lin Feng yet, but Lin Feng was now smiling. "I am afraid you won't see me die," replied Lin Feng indifferently. Cheong Jiutian was stupefied. But what was going on? Lin Feng had suddenly changed. Suddenly, he looked like a completely different person. Lin Feng's injuries healed instantly. He opened his hand and smashed Cheong Jiutian, smiling indifferently. Cheong Jiutian was astonished. How is that possible? Cheong Jiutian couldn't believe it his eyes. He had become a saint. He had to kill Daimon from the World Clan. "You're disappointing," said Lin Feng indifferently. He put his fingers on Cheong Jiutian's head. Cheong Jiutian's face changed drastically and he retreated as quickly as possible. However, Lin Feng chased him and put his fingers back on Jiutian's head. Cheong Jiutian was dumbstruck. His eyes suddenly became empty, his life was being corroded, his soul slowly shattered and vanished. He fell softly to the ground. Everything had happened so suddenly. At first, Cheong Jiutian had almost killed Lin Feng, and then Lin Feng had suddenly changed and then killed him. Alma, the members of the Fire Shrine, the strong cultivators of the World Clan were all astonished. Nobody had thought there would be such a turnaround. "Father!" Alma roared happily. His father had broken through during the battle. Otherwise, there couldn't have been such a turnaround. Cheong Jiutian had become a saint, he would have destroyed Lin Feng easily. Lin Feng had actually easily endured Cheong Jiutian's first attacks, which meant that ordinary saints couldn't do anything to him. "My father is terrifyingly strong. He can now easily defeat people who have just become saints," thought Alma happily. He had never heard of such a thing in the supreme animal world either. "Jiutian!" Cheong Jiutian's teacher shouted furiously. His face was extremely unsightly. his disciple had just become a saint, and now he was dead? Cheong Jiutian's body was on the ground, thoroughly dead. At that moment, Cheong Jiutian's teacher immediately released a terrifying strength which moved towards Lin Feng and bore down on him. However, in front of him was a saint, who just looked back at him calmly. Chapter 2351. God's Strength. What? You don't seem to care when you kill people, but when your people are killed, you react with such ardor? Said Lin Feng when he saw the members of the fire shrine looking at him icily. If Lin Feng hadn't suddenly understood something, Cheong Jiutian would have killed him. You really want to die that much? Said the saint of the fire shrine, Cheong Jiutian's teacher. He was furious. We want to die? Said the leader, smiling. Your saint got killed by someone who suddenly understood something? You intend to send your saints to avenge him? Of course, I understand how strong shrines are. You directly send big armies to fight your enemies. Welcome, said the World Clan leader. Cheong Jiutian's teacher frowned. The World Clan welcomed them? The World Clan had been silent for so many years. Why did they dare act so arrogantly? Did they think they could compete with the fire shrine? Lin Feng slowly walked forwards and stopped next to the World Clan leader. He smiled at the Shriners icily and said, Cheong Jiutian and Cheong Haiya thought highly of themselves, but they brought about their own destruction. They deserved to die. We attempted the impossible, and it worked. Those people had no morals, no principles. They hadn't thought Cheong Jiutian and Cheong Haiya would get themselves killed. Cheong Jiutian's teacher was staring at Lin Feng. He didn't sense any saint strength emerging from Lin Feng's body, but Lin Feng had really broken through, or he wouldn't have been able to kill Cheong Jiutian. He couldn't have been feigning before. However, it was possible to see that Lin Feng had broken through and regained a natural state. He had returned to the source, to his true self. He now looked completely ordinary, like someone who didn't practice cultivation at all. The members of the fire shrine had no choice to admit that Daimon was incredible, and that someday he'd reach a terrifying cultivation level. The shrine teacher started walking, but not towards Lin Feng and the others. He walked towards Cheong Jiutian's corpse. Even though Lin Feng had killed Cheong Jiutian's corpse was a precious treasure for the fire shrine. He had many saints' weapons, including weapons which he had won in the canonization area. Lin Feng didn't need them. He had broken through and had the great demon halberd of desolation which would allow him to become even stronger. Cheong Jiutian's teacher took his body away and left with the other members of the fire shrine. Qi Lianshan landed in front of Lin Feng, his eyes twinkling, and said, Daimon, you're really strong. You suddenly broke through and killed Cheong Jiutian. I couldn't kill him, which means you could probably kill me. Luckily we're not enemies. Thank you very much for coming here today. Lin Feng smiled back. Qi Lianshan had come to help him even though he was from the Earth Shrine and had nothing to do with the World Clan. Getting involved hadn't been necessary. It wasn't much. You saved my life once. However, you killed Cheong Haiya. It didn't really matter, but now that you killed Cheong Jiutian also and have suddenly broken through, things are different now. I don't think the fire shrine will leave the matter at this. You have to be careful now. Even though I am willing to help you, I can't ask the Earth Shrine for help, said Qi Lianshan honestly. Even though he was a saint, he couldn't ask the Earth Shrine to help Lin Feng fight against the Fire Shrine. Shrines didn't get involved in such things, especially since Lin Feng was a stranger to them. I understand. And I know that the Fire Shrine won't leave the matter at this, replied Lin Feng. Lin Feng had had no choice but to kill Cheong Jiutian and Cheong Haiya. They wanted to kill him, so he couldn't let them live. That was his vision of cultivation. Be careful. Anyway, I can't do much more here. I'm off, said Qi Lianshan, and quickly left. Let's go down, Lin Feng said to the people on his side. The news that Daimon from the World Clan had killed Cheong Jiutian, a saint from the Fire Shrine, didn't spread anywhere because only a few members of the World Clan and a few members of the Fire Shrine had seen it, as well as Qi Lianshan. The members of the World Clan weren't the kind of people who went outside to brag about their military achievements, and the Fire Shrine wasn't going to tell people about something which was quite humiliating for them. Cheong Jiutian had just become a saint and Daimon had killed him. What a joke. Lin Feng was alert, however. After he returned to the World Clan, the World Clan wasn't afraid of the Fire Shrine coming to get their revenge at all. The army Lin Feng had obtained from the king of the 10,000 beasts was incredibly powerful, of course, but it wasn't strong enough to fight against a shrine and their saints. And shrines didn't lack for saints. The shrines of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds had been in existence since the ancient times. They had an incredible heritage and many geniuses. Every generation, they had people who became saints. And saints, unless they had terrifying battles, didn't die. On the contrary, they kept getting stronger. There were more and more saints over time, unless great wars like in the ancient past occurred. Most of the time, they just didn't show up. However, Lin Feng was convinced that the Fire Shrine, as well as all the other shrines, had many saints. How many saints were there in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, the supreme animal world, hell, or the continent of the 9 clouds? Usually, they looked like ordinary middle-aged or old people. They went fishing, they had families, they had ordinary lives, and people couldn't see that they were saints. But they did exist in the world. Since the World Clan seemed to be unworried, Lin Feng didn't need to worry too much. He went to meditate in seclusion. Even though he was now terrifyingly strong, his cultivation level wasn't stable yet. Lin Feng was in his own world, floating in the air. He really had the feeling he was an authentic god this time. He felt free from inhibitions and happy. "Spring," said Lin Feng. Suddenly, it was spring in his own world. Everything changed in his small world. Many people raised their heads. It wasn't cold anymore, the weather became mild, the mortals were astonished. That's genuine God Dao. My Dao is different from other people's Dao. God Dao is like celestial Dao. I can use to control everything. I am the celestial Dao of this world, whispered Lin Feng. He could see the whole world in his mind. He could also modify it as he wished. He could create oceans, cities, villages, forbidden territories, desert, and people in his world could go and explore those places. Naturally, many mysterious worlds, caves, weapons, and palaces appeared in that world. Now, the people had to find and explore them. Lin Feng enjoyed this feeling a lot. He modified his world for a while. It was quite enjoyable. After a time, he stopped and disappeared from there. After that, he reappeared in the imperial palace of Yangzhou City. "Little Lin Feng," said Yu Menghe, smiling at him. "How come it's spring all of a sudden?" "Mom, do you like spring?" asked Lin Feng, smiling. "I prefer autumn. I love orange leaves. I feel natural and unrestrained in autumn," smiled Yu Menghe. "All right, then autumn it shall be," said Lin Feng, nodded. Instantly, orange leaves appeared. An orange light appeared in the palace. Some orange leaves entered the palace through the windows. Yu Menghe was stupefied. "Little Lin Feng, it's autumn now? So suddenly?" Yu Menghe couldn't believe it. "You've become even stronger, little Lin Feng," said Lin Hai, grinning. "Father," smiled Lin Hai. Yu Menghe and Lin Hai had progressed a lot in terms of cultivation. Even if they didn't want to progress, it would be difficult. "Master Lin Feng, you're getting stronger and stronger. You must be a legendary great emperor now," said Yishui, looking at Lin Feng admiringly. She had seen him grow up and become stronger. She was astonished each time she saw him. "You underestimate him," said Xiaoya. "Now, he just has to shout and he can kill ordinary great emperors." "Don't exaggerate," said Lin Feng, shaking his head. "Father, Mom, let's have a meal." "All right, I'll go to the kitchen," said Yu Menghe, smiling and walking away. Lin Feng was so happy to spend time with his family. Chapter 2352. Studying peacefully. Lin Feng had a big meal with his friends and family members, and then continued studying. He was thinking, since his God Dao was the equivalent of celestial Dao in his world, he could probably make the population of his world sense cosmic energies too. Could he make them sense celestial Dao too? He was like a god in his world, so could he help people become stronger too? Lin Feng thought of the canonization area. That place could help people sense celestial Dao and become saints. In his world, he was celestial Tao. He could create such a place too, but first, he needed to understand all those things much better. Lin Feng was in a boundless place. There was a mountain suitable for cultivation. He was the only one who could go there, so nobody could disturb him. Lin Feng had his hands clasped behind his back. He looked at the sky. There was a mysterious qi that was the boundary of his world. Now, my world is complete. My body is celestial Tao or God Tao in my world. Therefore, I can recover very quickly. When I fought against Cheong Jiutian, I noticed that no matter how explosive his attacks were, he couldn't kill me because the strength of my own world allows me to recover at an incredible speed. Cheong Jiutian's attacks were incredible, but he didn't even manage to injure me, Lin Feng murmured. He didn't feel like his body was a normal body with internal organs and everything. He had the impression his body was a whole world and that world was his life. He was already half immortal. Now that he understood that his God Tao was his own kind of celestial Tao, he needed to improve that strength. It was how he had easily killed Cheong Jiutian. It wasn't because the celestial Tao in his body was incredible that it had the same level in the outside world. If he bumped into very powerful saints, they would easily be able to kill him. In his own world, he was a god. In the outside world, he was a stranger. He didn't control the outside world. Last time, when I woke up from my dream, I understood God Tao and suddenly became much, much stronger. That's how I reached the God level. Now, it's the second time I broke through. I can say I have reached the second level of the God layer. I don't know how strong I can become, though, he thought. He was a forbidden person. He didn't have a real cultivation level. He could only guess, and he couldn't learn from other people. Now, with the celestial Tao in my own world, I am stronger here than in the outside world, which means I can create my own attacks, he pondered. His deployment spells had also reached an incredible level. He could cast deployment spells within milliseconds with the power of his mind. Could he improve his deployment spells? Lin Feng still had an endless number of possibilities before him. He could do whatever he wished. After studying for a long time, Lin Feng left his own world and went back to the World Clan to study in a cave. He was on a stone and suddenly opened his eyes. A terrifying celestial Tao had filled the air around him, before turning into a black cage made of God's celestial Tao. As expected, I can do it. Even without the celestial Tao of the outside world, I can use my own, but my strength is restrained. If an enemy's understanding of the celestial Tao of the outside world surpasses my understanding, then he'll be able to kill me easily, he thought. If he dragged people from outside into his own world, however, he'd be able to fight against and kill some terrifying opponents. Lin Feng continued studying. It felt like the first time he had understood God's strength. He had no cultivation level, he was his own God. But it was also a difficult journey, and a lonely one. "Father," said Alma as he landed in front of the cave, smiling when he saw Lin Feng. He was happy and asked, "Father, when your cultivation is stable, what will you do?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "You came at the perfect time. I wanted to see if you could come into my world." Alma and Lin Feng disappeared, reappearing in his world, at the mountain where nobody else could come. "Little boy, you're a demon dragon. You control demon and empty space strength. If I used my most powerful demon and empty space attacks, would it help you understand those two kinds of strength?" asked Lin Feng. Suddenly, Alma was in a dark world, surrounded by demons, aggressive, violent, brutal, all sorts of demons. Alma shuddered with fear. At that cultivation level, cultivators could only rely on themselves. The better their understanding abilities, the faster they progressed. Lin Feng now gave the opportunity to sense all sorts of strength. "Father, you're so strong. You can now create cultivation places which are as advanced as some cultivation places you'd find in shrines or in the supreme animal world," exclaimed Alma. In the supreme animal world, there were many places to practice cultivation, and he had tested out many of them. Lin Feng looked at the space. There was celestial Tao in his demon energies. He wanted to create Saint Luck for Alma to understand it. Of course, he needed to reach a certain level first. Even though he was like a god and understood all sorts of strength, he needed to think a lot to overcome all the difficulties. Alma roared and came out of the demon abysses, he said, "Father, only a little bit more and I have the feeling you could create Saint Luck." "Nah, I still need to progress a lot," replied Lin Feng, shaking his head. "But I could make some mysterious worlds in my world. Of course, first, I need to improve my understanding of cultivation to create useful mysterious worlds." "All right," said Alma, nodding his understanding. "I wish I could understand time strength and create special mysterious worlds to modify time. It would be great." Unfortunately, the time shrine disappeared a long time ago. There are only a few books about them in the shrine, and they're about acceleration and deceleration most of the time. They only contain threads of time strength, he sighed. Unfortunately, the time shrine had been destroyed, probably because they were too strong, so the other shrines couldn't let them live. Controlling time was something terrifying. There is time strength in Ganji's time, according to rumors. Nobody dares go into the depths of Ganji's time though. People are too scared they won't be able to come back, remarked Alma. He also wanted to see how powerful time strength could be. Time strength was an interesting kind of strength because it had nothing to do with the 5 elements. Time strength is the only thing which applies everywhere. Even though my world and the outside world are different, there is time strength in both. Even if they're not entirely the same, modifying time strength in my world seems impossible for the time being. He thought, his eyes twinkled. But time strength was something difficult to study. How did the cultivators of the former time shrines study time strength? Of course, there was nothing about that in the books. But maybe there were some incredible cultivators from the time shrines still alive? There were always details only known to insiders. Chapter 2353. Meeting with the Void Phoenix clan. The Fire Shrine didn't come to the World Clan to cause trouble for Lin Feng. It was like they had forgotten about Qiong Jiotian and Qiong Haiya's deaths. However, the strong cultivators of the World Clan didn't seem to think that the Fire Shrine would let Lin Feng off. Lin Feng practiced cultivation for a while calmly. His cultivation gradually became more stable. Lin Feng was confident, convinced that no half-saint could compete with him. He had faith in his god's strength. The World Clan received an invitation letter. The Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan were going to make their marriage alliance official. The cultivators of the World Clan didn't have a good premonition about it. Of course, they also showed it to Lin Feng. Even if it wasn't a good sign, Lin Feng had to know about it. When Lin Feng saw that letter, the old man in front of him said, "The Fire Shrine is probably looking for an opportunity to kill you, even if they didn't show it before." The Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan were getting closer and closer. Everybody in the northwest area knew it. Inviting the World Clan wasn't necessary at all. Of course, people knew that Lin Feng and Qing Feng were extremely close to one another, but they didn't know about Daimon and Qing Feng, so some people still wanted to know whether they had an intimate relationship or not. "Maybe," said Lin Feng with a smile. "But even if they want to kill me, could they resort to high-level saints to kill me?" "I'm not sure, I don't think so. There aren't many high-level saints. I don't think the Fire Shrine can easily send high-level saints to fight against you. Even if they could, I don't think they'd do it. There are limits," said the strong cultivator of the World Clan. "Since it's that way, I'll go to the Void Phoenix clan. I don't risk anything. Even if they send saints to fight against me, I should be able to get through in one piece," said Lin Feng. The strong cultivator of the World Clan was floored, but in the end he smiled and nodded acceptance. Lin Feng was very confident of himself. He was already convinced that low-level saints couldn't kill him. Of course, he also knew that Lin Feng had terrifying saints' weapons. He had seen Lin Feng kill Qiong Jiotian. What had surprised him the most was that Qiong Jiotian's attacks were so dangerous, but he hadn't managed to injure Lin Feng at all. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, "You became a saint, you understand celestial Tao, you transcended worldliness and attained holiness. But how powerful is your physical body, your saint's body?" "My saint's body?" repeated Lin Feng. Actually, describing Lin Feng's body with such a simple concept as saint's body wasn't enough. It was a euphemism. "It's all right," laughed Lin Feng. The old man laughed too, and didn't ask more. The atmosphere was lively in the Void Phoenix clan. The Fire Shrine wanted to make their marriage alliance with the Void Phoenix clan official. There were many powerful groups in the Northwest area who came to congratulate them. Even though they didn't understand why the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan wanted to do something as useless as that, they still came. The Void Phoenix clan and the Fire Shrine had already talked about that in the past. Why do it again? Anyway, the visitors still tried to look like they were having fun. Even the high officials of the Void Phoenix clan didn't understand why the Fire Shrine wanted to have another meeting, but since they wanted to come and talk about the details of the marriage alliance again, why not? It wasn't anything negative. There were many guests out on a vast public field. In the front were strong cultivators from the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan, chatting happily. Standing next to a saint from the Fire Shrine were two young people. One of them was Huixing Zi, the other one was Hualing. Back then, the Fire Shrine wasn't sure about the potential grooms, and Qiong Haiya was a potential candidate. But he had been killed by Lin Feng, so they decided to replace him with Hualing. The groom didn't matter anyway. To the Fire Shrine, the most important thing was to have a marriage alliance with the Void Phoenix clan, and the Void Phoenix clan didn't mind either. Qing Feng and Jing aren't here yet? Poor Huixing Zi and Hualing, said a saint of the Fire Shrine with a smile. Brother Beishan, those two girls are really lucky. I already sent someone to call them. They'll arrive soon, replied the leader of the Void Phoenix clan cheerfully. Huixing Zi and Hualing are two geniuses, such cultivators are rare. They will become incredibly strong in the future. I know, right? Beishan Wang nodded. He looked over at the crowd. After a short time, Jing and Qing Feng arrived. They looked furious. The members of the Fire Shrine were there, and they didn't want to see them. You made Brother Beishan wait for such a long time, smiled a middle-aged man, Jing's father. We don't want to get married to those people, said Jing icily, yet in a low voice. Even though she didn't want to, she knew that infuriating the Fire Shrine wasn't a good idea. The Void Phoenix clan couldn't compete with the Fire Shrine. Therefore, she tried to control herself. Insolent, said the middle-aged man in a low voice. He glanced at Jing and said, It's the best thing which could happen to you in life. That's what you think, spat Jing. Get down, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan icily. Jing and Qing Feng landed next to them and were surrounded by guards. Sorry, Brother Beishan, they're just joking, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. It doesn't matter, it's good to be a strong woman. They're perfect for Huixing Zi and Hualing, Beishan Wang smiled. The crowd turned around and looked at them. Nobody knew what all those people were really thinking. At that moment, someone arrived discreetly. Huixing Zi, who was drinking a cup of tea, turned around and looked at that person, frowning. His expression suddenly changed. People in the outside world didn't know that Daimon had killed Qiong Jiotian, but the members of the Fire Shrine did. Surprisingly, he came here. He's acting recklessly, thought Huixing Zi. Many people from the Fire Shrine frowned when they saw Daimon. Beishan Wang recognized Daimon too. People from the Fire Shrine had all seen Daimon, either in reality or in illusions. Let's take Jing and Qing Feng back to the Fire Shrine today. That way, they'll be able to make friends with the young people of the Fire Shrine, proposed Beishan Wang, smiling indifferently at the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan didn't know what to say. He just smiled and nodded along. No problem, sounds good. The Void Phoenix clan seems impatient to sell their women to the Fire Shrine. Do you think the Void Phoenix clan will become stronger that way? Interrupted a voice caustically. The members of the Void Phoenix clan looked astonished and turned around, frowning at Daimon. This guy dared cause trouble? Insolent, shouted someone icily. A few people suddenly appeared in front of Lin Feng, all from the Void Phoenix clan. Their eyes were filled with murder. Let him pass, said Jing's father casually. Those people moved away, but they looked angry. The middle-aged man smiled at Lin Feng icily. World-clanned Daimon? Indeed, replied Lin Feng with another cold smile. You came, you think the older members of the Void Phoenix clan won't do anything to you? Said the middle-aged man indifferently. He didn't know much about what had happened between Daimon and the fire shrine, but he hadn't asked, either. Therefore, he didn't even know that Lin Feng had killed Cheong Jiutian. If you can do it, you can try. But I think the only thing you're capable of is selling your daughter, replied Lin Feng mockingly. The man frowned. Interesting little boy. You came to the Void Phoenix clan to have a sense of presence. Chapter 2354. Fierce battle. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan glared at Lin Feng icily. He was amazed. Daimon from the World Clan really wanted to die. The World Clan was in the northwest area like the Void Phoenix clan. Many people compared them all the time. Daimon had become famous, he was considered as a genius. Not many people in the Void Phoenix clan were that famous. Now he had come to the Void Phoenix clan to cause trouble. Did he want to die? Of course, he was the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, so he controlled himself. He said calmly, Daimon, you were invited to come today, we didn't invite you to cause trouble. If you're not here to enjoy yourself, leave. I don't like the way you act. You amazingly want to sell women to the fire shrine. I prefer warning you, forget about the marriage alliance, or the Void Phoenix clan will. Lin Feng said easily. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was astonished. Daimon was threatening him? What an insolent little boy, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, glaring at Daimon. You're a little boy of the World Clan. I will give you one opportunity only, kneel down and apologize. Otherwise, I will not be merciful, and nobody will be able to say I wasn't magnanimous. You think you can act like that just because you're old? Ridiculous, said Lin Feng dismissively. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan grew even more furious. Leader, you're too polite. Daimon is an evildoer. No need to talk to him, just get rid of him, said Jing's father casually. The people who had just let Lin Feng pass landed in front of him again and released an ice-cold chi. Phoenixes started whistling, for flames shot towards Lin Feng. The crowd looked surprised. Was Daimon going to die there? He didn't even try to do anything to protect himself. There's something wrong. He's still there, noted someone. Lin Feng was bathing in the terrifying fireballs, and they didn't hurt him at all. Back everybody, shouted Jing's father instantly. Their attacks couldn't do anything to Lin Feng, so continuing the battle was useless. If Lin Feng counterattacked, he might kill them. However, as Jing's father said that, terrifying flames surrounded those people. They didn't have time to react. They screamed as they burned alive. They were fire cultivators, they were supposed to have a great defense against fire attacks, but at that moment, they were burning and shrieking in pain. How terrifying! Saint's fire? The crowd frowned. They didn't understand, the four people had suddenly started burning but it wasn't their flames. The middle-aged man moved too, turning into a beam of light. However, the four people were already dead. They're dead. The father's expression changed drastically. He pulled a long face. He stared at Lin Feng and thought, that was Saint's fire? However, he didn't sense Saint's strength emerge from Lin Feng, and that fire was different from anything he had seen before. Lin Feng was still standing there calmly, he hadn't moved from the beginning to the end. I underestimated you, thought the father, frowning. He released Saint's strength, which moved towards Lin Feng and oppressed him with fire's celestial Tao. Lin Feng had the impression he was going to burn. Die, said the girl's father. The wind howled. A fire phoenix winged towards Lin Feng, full of celestial Tao. A gigantic firewall appeared in front of Lin Feng, then turned into an ice wall. The phoenix crashed onto it, but failed to pierce through. Destroy, said Lin Feng. The ice wall rolled forwards, freezing the phoenix and the deadly flames around it. Shing Layer. The father was astonished. Daimon had become a saint. Only a few years had passed, and he had become a saint. What a terrifying cultivation speed. Many people practiced cultivation their entire lives and never understood what celestial Tao was. However, Lin Feng had done it in a very short time. Daimon from the World Clan is a saint. The whole crowd was astonished. Only saints could compete with other saints. No wonder you're so arrogant, you're a saint now. But so what? Even if you're a saint, You think you can come to the Void Phoenix clan and cause trouble here? Ridiculous. There are level differences between saints as well, said the father, smiling icily. He flashed forwards, his whole body filled with celestial Tao. He stretched out his fingers and pointed at Lin Feng. An illusionary black fire fused together with the earth and sky and moved towards Lin Feng. Suddenly, a phoenix called out. The middle-aged man's fingers turned into phoenixes, trails appearing behind them. The energies were overwhelming. Oh wow, the attack is intensifying, thought the crowd as they retreated. Lin Feng slapped out, and a dauntless earth shield appeared, then moved towards the black fire phoenix and blocked it. The father's attacks couldn't pierce through Lin Feng's shield. How strong? Daimon is a saint? How come he looks so relaxed? I have the impression his attacks contain deployment strength. That shield contains a special kind of strength, but there's definitely deployment strength inside. The crowd now realized that Daimon was really strong. The girl's father released a mighty flame, and a black hole made of fire appeared. It started absorbing celestial Tao greedily, blazing furiously. That attack was really powerful, like he was trying to absorb the whole strength of the world. Saints' attacks are terrifying. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan frowned. That Daimon could fight against the girl's father? Daimon was really incredible. The father landed in front of Lin Feng. The black hole filled with phoenix fire crashed onto Lin Feng's shield. The vortex absorbed the shield and started to burn it. Lin Feng was in danger. How strong? The vortex was 100 meters high and contained a terrifying black phoenix fire. Lin Feng seemed like he could be overwhelmed anytime. He's just become a saint. He obviously can't compete with a cultivator who has been a saint for a long time whose cultivation is stable. Daimon's opponent has been a half-saint for a long time already, and he's a disciple of the fire shrine as well, so he controls incredible fire attacks. Daimon could hold on so far. It's already a miracle. The crowd murmured. They already considered Daimon a dead man. At that moment, Lin Feng's eyes went pitch black, and suddenly, the middle-aged man had the impression the world around him was changing. He was now in a cave, in an empty world of darkness. How is this possible? He frowned. How could he end up in another world after a single glance? You're not strong enough, said a voice indifferently. The middle-aged man's head started pounding. He sensed celestial Tao move towards him, and the air was vibrating madly. He didn't know where the energies were coming from. Boom! A peerless strength smashed into him. His body trembled. In the outside world, his body was slammed away and he coughed up blood. How is this possible? The man couldn't believe his eyes. Daimon was in front of him and said indifferently, "If you weren't Jing's father, I would have killed you." Chapter 2355. If anyone dares stop me, I'll kill them. Daimon had easily defeated a man who had been a saint for a very long time. He was a saint of the Void Phoenix clan, and if he weren't Jing's father, Daimon would have killed him. When the crowd heard that, they were speechless. The World Clan had disappeared for a very long time. Now they were back in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, and they had such a genius with them. They had heard about his battle against Huashang when they were just Saint Emperors. Only a few years had passed, and Daimon had completely changed. He could now crush some saints. What a beast! Jing's father looked at Lin Feng, visibly stunned. He had been a saint for so many years, his cultivation was stable, he understood celestial Tao quite well, he had good fighting skill, and yet, someone who hadn't been a saint for a very long time had defeated him so easily. He felt humiliated. If it wasn't for his daughter, he would be dead already. Because of Miss Jing, I decided to let you live. However, even if you're her father, you can't force her to do anything. If she wants to join the fire shrine and get married to one of their cultivators, fine, but nobody can force her. I'm her friend and I really don't understand how her clan could sell her to the fire shrine. Are the members of the Void Phoenix clan the fire shrine slaves? Wondered Lin Feng calmly. Many people who had been invited looked amused. Even though they were from the northwest area like the Void Phoenix clan, they had come to give them face, not because they were excited to party with them. But now something interesting and funny was finally happening. They hadn't come for nothing. Daimon was humiliating them. Awesome. The members of the Void Phoenix clan looked at him icily, especially the leader. This little boy had just defeated a saint of the Void Phoenix clan. He slowly turned around and looked at the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine. However, some of the members of the Fire Shrine were laughing, others were smiling, some others looked calm, as if all this had nothing to do with them. It infuriated him. Did he have to solve this issue himself? Did the Fire Shrine want to see how strong they were? I'll take Qing Feng and Jing back to the Fire Shrine first. You can solve the issue appropriately, said Bei Shan Wang to the leader of the Void Phoenix clan calmly. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was furious. How humiliating! Lin Feng had embarrassed them, and now the Fire Shrine wasn't helping at all. Shrines are shrines. They're proud. They don't care about the Void Phoenix clan, thought the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He was disappointed. However, he couldn't tell anyone how he felt, he had to keep it to himself. The Fire Shrine didn't care about the Void Phoenix clan's face. All right, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. Take them away. He sounded furious. He wanted to insult Bei Shan Wang, but he couldn't. Bei Shan Wang smiled coldly. The Void Phoenix clan couldn't know that the Fire Shrine hadn't come for Qing Feng and Jing, they had come for Daimon. They hoped that the Void Phoenix clan would kill Lin Feng. That way, they wouldn't need to do anything. Nobody would be able to say that the shrines bullied younger people. Of course, if the Void Phoenix clan didn't manage to kill him and he escaped, the Fire Shrine would have an excuse to kill him. How shameless! The Void Phoenix clan is just watching their women get kidnapped. They really have no sense of honor and integrity, said Lin Feng icily. Shut up! Shouted the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, throwing himself at Lin Feng. The crowd heard a sonic boom. Lin Feng sensed a terrifying phoenix strength oppress him, despite the distance. Lin Feng stretched out his hands and his shield appeared again. Everyone heard it starting to crack, and his shield broke when the phoenix wings crashed against it. Dazzling wings moved towards him. Flames appeared around Lin Feng and he was driven backwards violently. He suddenly disappeared and reappeared far away in the distance, his heart pounding. Lin Feng touched his forehead. There was blood there, but he recovered almost instantly. He raised his head and smiled at the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. No wonder you're the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, you're only a low-level saint. You're a tiny little insect compared to the saints of the shrines. You can't contradict them if they say anything. You can only submit to them, and now you're releasing your anger on me. Daimon sounded like a real demon. He raised his hands and his great demon halberd of desolation appeared, demon strength surging out like a tide. The crowd all around was trembling. Demons were wailing furiously all around them. Lin Feng walked forwards. The Void Phoenix clan's leader looked at Daimon and saw only an evil smile and a terrifying weapon. It looked like the weapon of a demon king. Demons kept wailing mournfully. It wasn't very loud, but it was scary, and those mournful cries contained cursing strength. Empty space energy surrounded Lin Feng. He disappeared and a millisecond later, reappeared in front of the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He raised his great demon halberd of desolation, which swept forwards as fast as lightning. A demon king roared in primal rage. Demon lights appeared all around. The crowd saw demons surround the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, even as cursing strength swarmed towards him. The face of the Void Phoenix clan's leader changed drastically. He felt he was in a demon ghost town, he could see rivers of blood all around him, he had the impression his mind was going to explode. Piss off! Shouted the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. At the same time, he withdrew, a phoenix's wings surrounding him. He tried to expel the demon strength from his mind, but the demon king continued roaring and the cursing strength contained a weird essence which made it hard to control his celestial Tao anymore. Break! A terrifying chi kept bombarded him. A fire sword appeared, even more dazzling than the sun. It hacked forwards, there was an explosion, and the fire sword broke apart. He was driven backwards violently. The crowd just saw the leader of the Void Phoenix clan crash back into a wall, and then shattering sounds followed. How strong! That demon halberd is overwhelming. muttered the crowd. They were trembling. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan kept getting smacked around. Their attacks don't even influence their surroundings, they have a perfect control over their strength. Saint's strength is terrifying, whispered the crowd. The figure of the Void Phoenix clan's leader flickered. Even those who were trying to take Jing and Qing Feng away were astonished. You dare bully me, a young cultivator? You think the Void Phoenix clan is imposing and awe-inspiring. Today, I will take Jing and Qing Feng, and we'll see who dares stop me, said Lin Feng, holding his great demon halberd of desolation and walking forwards. Demon strength kept surging out. Daimon looked like a demon king, his eyes pitch black and dreadful. If anyone dares stop me, I'll kill them, said Lin Feng, walking towards Jing and Qing Feng. He had come to take them away. He didn't want them to stay in the Void Phoenix clan. There was nothing good for them here. Chapter 2356. Mysterious demon skill. Qing Feng knew that Daimon was Lin Feng, so she was very happy and smiled. She didn't like the Void Phoenix clan. She had gone to the Void Phoenix clan only for Lin Feng. She was happy yet nervous, even if Lin Feng was extremely strong. Jing was confused. She didn't know that Daimon was Lin Feng, so she didn't understand why someone she had seen only a few times in her life would help her like this. But she was like Qing Feng, she didn't want to stay in the Void Phoenix clan anymore. She felt angry and disappointed. She had never thought the Void Phoenix clan would treat Qing Feng and her like bartered goods. The clan didn't care about what they wanted, and her father had even decided to ignore her mother. Lin Feng stepped forwards. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan could only grimace. He had just been overwhelmed by Daimon. This guy had a great demon halberd of desolation and looked like a demon king with it. The members of the fire shrine continued remaining silent, as if all this had nothing to do with them. Everyone was looking at Daimon. He was so strong. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan, a low-level saint, had been defeated. Even if Lin Feng's saint's weapon was very powerful, the crowd knew that if he hadn't been strong, he wouldn't have been able to use it properly either. Even a low-level saint could have killed him. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was growing more and more furious. The members of the fire shrine still said nothing. Nobody could help them. He had been attacked by Lin Feng, and if he had been a half-saint, he would have been killed. Lin Feng hadn't even used a saint's weapon against Jing's father and could have easily killed him. How humiliating! The Void Phoenix clan couldn't do anything against someone so young. Such a thing had never happened to them before. If you don't piss off, I'll kill you, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan icily, releasing phoenix fire energies which filled the air. A phoenix Taoist robe made of feathers appeared on his body. The leader hoped Daimon would leave. He didn't want to kill Daimon. Empty words, said Lin Feng, glancing at him with his pitch-black eyes. He continued walking towards Jing and Qing Feng, the strong cultivators around them suddenly turning black. Release them, shouted Lin Feng furiously. The two strong cultivators there started trembling and sensed death invading their bodies. They saw illusions of death gods in their minds. Rivers of blood appeared in their minds, and they started transforming into demons before the two powerful saint emperors abruptly disappeared. In front of a saint emperor was nothing. Daimon could shout and kill them. Many people were dazedly wondering how long Daimon had practiced cultivation to become a saint. Insolent! The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was bathing in flames. A dazzling flame dashed to the skies. Fire was everywhere inside the Void Phoenix clan. In the distance, a phoenix light curtain appeared and enveloped the whole clan. What's that? Someone blurted out. A gigantic phoenix looked down at them, making them shiver. Was it a trump card of the Void Phoenix clan? What a terrifying chi! Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, unconcerned as he mused. A saint's weapon which contains real phoenix blood? You want to die, so I will kill you, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He stretched out his hand and a sharp phoenix sword appeared. It absorbed the strength of the earth and sky greedily. The sword became even more dazzling. The air began to hum strongly. The sword floated above the leader, containing a terrifying strength. How strong! That weapon is a saint's weapon of the Void Phoenix clan. It must have been absorbing Phoenix strength for thousands of years. Daimon is doomed this time, thought the crowd. People started running away. They didn't dare stay too close. Throw your saint's weapon away and cripple your own cultivation. I won't kill you, the leader of the Void Phoenix clan said to Daimon. How could Daimon possibly obey him, though? He stopped walking towards Jing and Qingfeng. He knew that he had to take care of the leader if he wanted to take Jing and Qingfeng away. So you really want to see how powerful my great demon halberd of desolation is? A short time ago, I realized a terrifying Peerless demon skill was inside it. If you want to continue fighting, we'll fight, replied Lin Feng. A black demon armor appeared around him. He grew to several times his former size, still holding the great demon halberd of desolation, which seemed to be keening in anticipation. People could sense that the weapon had been used to kill billions of people. It was filled with demon blood. That saint's weapon is the great demon halberd of desolation. Who was the initial owner? Why does Daimon have it? Wondered those who saw the ancient demon weapon. Did it really contain a terrifying demon skill? Since you're a peerless demon cultivator now, please, let's exchange views on cultivation, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan icily. He raised his head and shouted, Void Phoenix, lacerate. An incredible number of sharp phoenix swords shot towards Lin Feng. The leader wanted to contain him and kill him. This attack could easily kill a half-saint. That saint's weapon is not bad, Lin Feng said dismissively. A strong wind filled with strength was blowing, surrounding Lin Feng and the great demon halberd of desolation. Lin Feng attacked with his great demon halberd of desolation, moving like the wind. Demons surrounded him and lunged towards the incoming phoenix swords. Die! The leader of the Void Phoenix clan jumped forwards and shouted loudly. A dazzling phoenix suddenly appeared in front of Lin Feng. Go! Lin Feng threw his great demon halberd of desolation, shaking the earth and sky. It rose up into the air and tore apart the phoenix in front of him. All the sharp swords around Lin Feng shattered like glass. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan suddenly threw himself at Lin Feng. A gigantic phoenix appeared behind him. Die! He punched out and an ancient phoenix moved towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng recalled his great demon halberd of desolation and walked forwards. He vanished. The great demon halberd of desolation created a terrifying wind around itself. Oof! The clan leader smiled icily. Many phoenixes appeared, but the great demon halberd of desolation destroyed them all, before the great demon halberd of desolation drove into his body. The crowd gaped. The great demon halberd of desolation had been driven into the leader's body? The leader of the Void Phoenix clan smiled icily and said, Phoenixes are immortal, I have a phoenix body now. He let the great demon halberd of desolation pierce right through him, and continued moving towards Daimon. Phoenixes fell upon the younger man. Die! A terrifying fireball smashed into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng recalled his great demon halberd of desolation, and was driven backwards, coughing blood, paling a bit. A mighty life strength surrounded him. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was stunned. He had barely injured Daimon with his attack. Lin Feng used his great demon halberd of desolation like a pole to rise up in the air and said icily, Immortal, huh? I forgot to tell you that I had an immortal body. We'll see who's more immortal. He threw himself at his opponent again. Everybody was shaking. Their fighting abilities were terrifying, but their defenses were too. Did they both really have immortal bodies? Let's see if your immortal body can resist my great demon halberd of desolation's skill, snarled Lin Feng as he lashed out in front of him with the great demon halberd of desolation. Everybody heard a berserk demon song. Enjoy it, said Lin Feng. He disappeared and the great demon halberd of desolation moved forwards. Millions of demons appeared. Everybody started hallucinating. They saw corpses and blood everywhere. The terrifying demon song made everyone hallucinate. Countless demons, the great demon halberd of desolation contains a song, the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. Chapter 2357, Taking Control, The Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. The crowd was astonished. One of the 9 famous songs, a demon song, and the great demon halberd of desolation contained it, so it was even more terrifying. Everything turned into demon strength around them and absorbed the fire energy. Real demons appeared in the sky and chanted together in unison. It was overwhelming. The Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony summons real demons to fight, and the great demon halberd of desolation activated the song, thought the panicking crowd. A terrifying demon holding a steel fork threw himself at a gigantic phoenix and cut it apart instantly. The other demons then all started ripping into the phoenixes with their steel forks. As expected, it's like when I fought against the 9 Netherworld's Emperor back then. The great demon halberd of desolation contains the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. Did the great demon halberd of desolation already contain the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony, or did the cultivator who created it put it inside? Lin Feng wondered. He didn't know. He cut apart everything around him while walking towards the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. The Void Phoenix clan's leader grimaced. That great demon halberd of desolation was too powerful, and it contained the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. A gigantic dazzling light appeared in the sky and illuminated the fire phoenix, which looked even more dazzling that way. Die, said Lin Feng icily. His demons moved in all directions, sweeping away everything. 4 demons charged towards the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. Golden lights surrounded the demons, and the air shrieked with them. The 4 demons attacked with the momentum of an avalanche, and at the same time, Lin Feng carried out a powerful attack with his great demon halberd of desolation. Millions of steel forks chimed in mad harmony. The Void Phoenix clan's leader's phoenixes broke apart. He shouted furiously and released more fire celestial Tao. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was staring at Lin Feng. He really wanted to kill him. He flashed forwards, ignoring the demons. He wanted to kill Lin Feng. If he did, the demons would disappear and the great demon halberd of desolation would be his. A terrifying demon steel fork stabbed into his phoenix body, but he continued walking forwards. Was he really indestructible? Lin Feng was surprised. He looked at the phoenix on his opponent's body. Was it indestructible? Lin Feng grunted icily and assaulted the phoenix silhouette around his opponent's body with his great demon halberd of desolation as he rose up in the air. You'll die. The phoenix instantly shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was startled. His great demon halberd of desolation thrummed wildly. It crashed onto his opponent's head, but the man's head looked like an illusion and didn't break apart, bathed in phoenix flames. At the same time, a phoenix landed in front of Lin Feng and fire penetrated into Lin Feng's body. He had the impression he was going to burn to death. He released as much life strength as he could. Nobody could destroy him. He was the god of his own body. He controlled the vitality of his own body. Those 2 really have immortal-type bodies, swore the shaken crowd. This battle transcended worldliness already. It was awe-inspiring. Destroy, shouted the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He could sense that Lin Feng's body contained a special kind of strength. It was difficult to destroy his inner power. Lin Feng pulled a long face. Even with his own world strength, he could recover quickly, but there were limits. If his opponent's celestial Tao was too powerful in the outside world, he couldn't do much. A demon attacked the phoenix. The phoenix became dimly discernible and weaker. I'll definitely kill you now, no matter what, said Lin Feng icily. He waved his hand and the great demon halberd of desolation turned into a light beam. There was a peal of thunder, and the phoenix exploded. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was hurled away. Lin Feng moved towards him, his great demon halberd of desolation crashing onto his opponent's third eye. The leader instantly disappeared. He's dead. The crowd was astonished. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was dead? On the day when the Fire Shrine had come to make their marriage alliance official, killed by a young man. If Daimon doesn't die, the World Clan will become a dazzling group, thought the onlookers. That fight just now had been just breathtaking. Who could stop Daimon in the Void Phoenix clan? The demons turned into demon strength and flowed back into the great demon halberd of desolation. The great demon halberd of desolation disappeared. Many people were impressed. "What an amazing weapon! How audacious," said someone icily. The crowd was stupefied. They turned around and saw a strong cultivator of the fire shrine. It was Bei Shanwang. He stood up and stared at Lin Feng while releasing qi. "Daimon from the World Clan, you came today to cause trouble on the day of the marriage alliance between our shrine and the Void Phoenix clan. We don't like bullying younger people, so we didn't attack you, but you're too insolent. You even killed the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, and now you want to kidnap our women," said Bei Shanwang icily. The members of the Void Phoenix clan were all shaking with fury. Daimon had fought against them. The 2 duels had been tragic for them, and the fire shrine hadn't done anything. Now their leader was dead, and finally the fire shrine was intervening. Marriage alliance. The fire shrine wanted good relations with the Void Phoenix clan. How ridiculous! The shrine had let their leader die. If they had helped and killed Daimon, that would have been fine. Everybody would have said Daimon wasn't strong enough. "Brother, from now on, you're the leader of the Void Phoenix clan," said Bei Shanwang to Jing's father. He was surprised, but nodded. Everybody was even more shaken. Jing's father was a disciple of the Fire Shrine and just a son-in-law to the Void Phoenix clan. He wasn't from the same bloodline. He was very close to the Fire Shrine, closer to the Fire Shrine than to the Void Phoenix clan. And now Bei Shanwang from the Fire Shrine said that. Just a few minutes after the leader's death, 2 people appeared next to Jing and Qing Feng. Those people looked ordinary, they had no qi, and actually had been there the whole time. Those people had regained a natural state, they have transcended worldliness and attained holiness. The crowd was astonished. Those people were definitely from the Fire Shrine. Daimon was furious. Had the Fire Shrine organized everything? Lin Feng looked at Bei Shanwang, then he looked at Jing and Qing Feng again. He looked furious. Finally, the Fire Shrine was going to act. First, why would you get involved in the relations between the Void Phoenix clan and me? Second, when did Miss Jing and Miss Qing Feng agree to become women of the Fire Shrine? Bei Shanwang laughed and retorted, "Mind your own business, will you? I killed Qiong Haiya. I even killed Qiong Jiutian, who had just become a saint. If you want to fight against me, continue sending people to me, no need to hide." "I despise people like you," said Lin Feng smiling icily. Qiong Jiutian had become a saint and Daimon from the World Clan had killed him. No wonder. Bei Shanwang ignored Lin Feng and said, "Take them away." After that, the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine grabbed Qing Feng and Jing. Lin Feng frowned. The Fire Shrine was going to attack. Chapter 2358. Lin Feng crushes saints. He waved his hands and his great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky. Lin Feng looked at Bei Shanwang icily. A terrifyingly explosive qi emerged from his body and surrounded the great demon halberd of desolation. The great demon halberd of desolation was like the king of weapons. "I told you, those who dare stop me will die," said Lin Feng. Terrifying lights flashed around him. It felt like the atmosphere had been about to explode. The great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky and pressed forward with an indomitable will. Bei Shanwang was astonished. If Lin Feng didn't take Qing Feng and Jing now, he would leave the matter at that. How arrogant! "Since it's that way, I'll respond to your request," said Bei Shanwang in a cold and detached way. Instantly, more silhouettes flickered. All those people were saints. The crowd trembled. The world was gigantic, but it was extremely rare to see so many saints at the same time. Only the shrines and the supreme animal world had that many saints. The other groups usually only had a few. At that cultivation level, battles were incredible. Those people were usually quite old too. They stood at the very top of the continent of the 9 clouds. Lin Feng looked at the saints, startled. Those people's celestial Tao was incredible. The stronger people were, the deepest their connection to nature was. One saint was already incredible, but several. "Very good. Let's see how strong the Fire Shrine is," said Lin Feng icily. Dazzling golden empty space lights flashed under his feet. Very quickly, a dazzling golden world appeared and enveloped everyone. Millions of dazzling threads of consciousness emerged from his third eye. Deployment spells, 1 millisecond and so many deployment spells. The crowd was trembling. At the beginning, they had sensed that Lin Feng's attacks contained deployment strength. Now they could see it. Great deployment master strength, 1 millisecond, and he can cast such terrifying deployment spells. He's not only a saint, he's also a great deployment master. Deployment lights surrounded everybody. The world became golden. Everybody was in a golden world, including the crowd. What a powerful deployment spell. The crowd was astonished. Someone touched the golden wall. It was extremely hard, like a golden rock or fortress. That person condensed strength and attacked the wall, but nothing happened. It can't be broken. I'm a cultivator at the top of the Shengdi layer, and I can't break it. I'm so weak compared to a saint, mumbled that person, astonished. Everybody around was astonished. That deployment spell was one of the 3,000 great deployment spells Lin Feng had learned, called the Great Atmosphere Sealing Imprint Deployment Spell. He had modified it with God's strength. It was even more resistant. Obviously, a saint emperor couldn't break it. Bei Shan Wang was stupefied. He realized how scary that deployment spell was. He raised his hand and put a finger on the golden wall, and a strand of golden strength broke apart. He ran towards Lin Feng, but when he started running, he realized that the golden strand had reappeared. Oh no! He suddenly thought of something. He looked at Jing and Qing Feng, but Lin Feng had already reacted. Right after having cast the deployment spell, he had taken them into his small world. He was the only one who could see inside that deployment spell. The others were blind in there. The man who was initially next to Qing Feng pulled a long face. He attacked a golden line, and it exploded, but when it disappeared, his face turned deathly pale. The great demon halberd of desolation was there, waiting for him. The great demon halberd of desolation beheaded him, then demon strength bombarded him and his body vanished. The great demon halberd of desolation continued releasing demon strength. Lin Feng looked like a demon god. He recalled the great demon halberd of desolation and looked at another saint, the one who had oppressed Jing. The fire shrine forced me to do that, said Lin Feng flatly. His great demon halberd of desolation continued moving forwards, piercing through a golden pillar and punching through that cultivator's head like the hook of a fishing rod. The saint didn't have time to dodge. He died instantly. Lin Feng realized that Bei Shan Wang was also getting involved, charging forwards to kill him. However, Lin Feng just smiled icily. Bei Shan Wang was a low-level emperor. The fire shrine had underestimated him, and the consequences were going to be tragic. Lin Feng pierced through a golden pillar. It was his own deployment spell. It didn't stop him. He could do as he wished here. When Bei Shan Wang arrived where Qing Feng was supposed to be, he realized that she had already disappeared. Daimon had already taken her away. He turned around and looked at the sky. The best choice was to escape from there. Bei Shan Wang rose up into the air. However, at that moment, a terrifying strength surrounded him, and a gigantic fire shield appeared to protect him. The fire shield broke apart. The great demon halberd of desolation continued moving towards him. Bei Shan Wang turned around, shattered a pillar, and flew up again. He had been so startled that he was covered with cold sweat. How scary! There was a rumble and eruption as he broke through the deployment spell and flew higher up. Bei Shan Wang looked at the ground, seeing the gigantic golden deployment spell. If he hadn't come out, he would have died because he couldn't see anything inside. Oh no! The others, Bei Shan Wang hissed. He was soaked with cold sweat. Other saints had come besides him. He was the only low-level saint in the group, but they had thought that he alone would be able to kill Lin Feng. Nobody had thought things would turn out this way. A terrifying fire gathered in the sky. Bei Shan Wang condensed celestial Tao. A gigantic black hand appeared and descended from the sky. "Destroy!" shouted Bei Shan Wang furiously. The gigantic black hand smashed into the deployment spell from outside to help the others escape. At that moment, terrifying golden empty space strength swept everything away. and the sealed empty space deployment spell turned into illusionary empty space strength. It was as if it didn't exist. "No!" screamed Bei Shanwang. He saw the terrifying great demon halberd of desolation streak across the sky. The others weren't as lucky. The gigantic black hand smashed down on so many people and killed them instantly. That was where Lin Feng was a moment before, but he had moved. People from the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan were there, so that gigantic black hand killed many of them. The destructive cloud slowly dispersed. However, another great deployment spell appeared. Bei Shanwang looked at it, his mouth twitching. Lin Feng looked at him provokingly before disappearing into the great deployment spell. He could cast deployment spells in the blink of an eye. Bei Shanwang felt powerless. "Uncle Bei Shan," said a saint, arriving next to Bei Shanwang, one of his arms missing. Bei Shanwang had done it with his gigantic black hand. Bei Shanwang looked at him and said, "I'm so sorry for you. I feel so sorry I made you all come today." "Uncle, we must destroy him and the World Clan," said the saint. His eyes were filled with murder. At the same time, some chi rose in the distance. Maybe that the Fire Shrine had realized there was a terrifying cultivator here, so they had decided to send some backup. Chapter 2359. Ancient World's Hidden Strength. Bei Shanwang and the saints of the Fire Shrine turned around and watched three people arrive. Bei Shanwang pulled a long face. Those three people were his fellow disciples. All of them were extremely strong. They had probably seen saints' talismans break apart and rushed over. Even though they were here, Bei Shanwang didn't look happy at all. Saints had died, and the worst thing was that he had killed them accidentally. It was a tragedy. If he went back to the Fire Shrine, he'd be reprimanded severely. "What's going on?" the three people asked. They were staring at Bei Shanwang. He felt pressured not physically but on the inside. What to say? That a young man who had become a saint a short time ago was difficult to deal with? "Uncle, Daimon from the World Clan is a great deployment master. His deployment spells are terrifying and he can cast them within seconds. He put us in a cage and started chasing us to kill us. When I was inside, I couldn't see anything anymore. Uncle Bei Shan saved me," said the other saint. Bei Shanwang glanced at him. This little boy didn't disappoint him. "Great deployment master?" the few people said icily. "Is there anyone else?" "They're all dead," replied Bei Shanwang. He pulled a long face. "So, let's destroy the deployment spell," said that person icily. Bei Shanwang nodded. "That's what I was thinking. We break the deployment spell and we kill Daimon. Then we can go to the World Clan and destroy them as well. Otherwise, the consequences could be severe." Lin Feng could hear them perfectly. He was still holding the great demon halberd of desolation. The situation was getting dangerous. The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine had arrived too quickly. They were all low-level saints, no weaker than Bei Shanwang, especially the one who had just talked. His chi seemed more powerful than the others. Even Bei Shanwang seemed to respect him. He couldn't do much against a group of people like that, even with the great demon halberd of desolation. Besides, the members of the Fire Shrine were shameless. They had caused trouble, they had prevented him from leaving, then he had protected himself, and now they wanted to destroy the World Clan. Lin Feng turned around and looked at someone in the deployment spell. It was Jing's father. Even though Lin Feng wanted to get rid of him, he was Jing's father, and if he died, she'd blame him. He landed in front of the man. "You?" Her father looked furious, but Lin Feng said, "If you don't want to die, don't attack me, go now." Then he grabbed him and rose up in the air. The middle-aged man was stunned. He saw some strong cultivators from the Fire Shrine. They were about to attack. "Daimon, let me go," said the middle-aged man in relief. He almost felt grateful. "Over there," shouted someone. The middle-aged man's silhouette flickered. He moved back. He saw a gigantic hand which moved towards the deployment spell and crush it. After the deployment spell broke apart, the attack continued pressing down. People in the deployment spell saw a terrifying destructive hand descending, their faces turning deathly pale. They were going to die. "No!" shouted people desperately, but it was too late. A low-level saint was too strong for them. People who weren't saints died instantly. They all died, one after another. Many people from the Void Phoenix clan perished. When the middle-aged man saw that, his face turned deathly pale and he pulled a long face. So many people from the Void Phoenix clan died, just because the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine wanted to kill Daimon from the World Clan? Was it worth it? A gigantic great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky. When all the destructive strength dispersed, Demon Chi rose up. Lin Feng raised his head and stared at the saints of the Fire Shrine icily. Not bad, it's such a pity that you're from the World Clan though, said the strong cultivator next to Bei Shan Wang, sighing. It was such a pity this guy was from the World Clan. They were enemies with the Fire Shrine, and he had killed people whose family name was Cheong. Such a genius was going to die. Lin Feng smiled coldly. Did they think they were going to kill him now? I think it's even worse to be from the Fire Shrine. So many people from the Fire Shrine died today. You think it's awesome to be from the Fire Shrine? Replied Lin Feng mockingly. His interlocutor remained composed and replied, their deaths will lead to your death and the destruction of the World Clan. How arrogant, said a voice at that moment. The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine were startled and spun around. They saw someone arrive slowly. His chi was terrifying and filled the air. The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine were stupefied. The atmosphere around the new arrival seemed to be sealed. World strength. The Shriners' expressions changed suddenly. Someone from the World Clan had come? Did they think they could compete with the Fire Shrine? The air hummed and wavered. Strong cultivators arrived out of nowhere. The expressions of the Fire Shrine's members changed drastically, frowning and staring at all those people. Lin Feng was astonished too. Those people were from the World Clan? Since when did the World Clan have so many saints? How strong is the World Clan? Last time, when I killed Cheong Jiotian, I was in danger, and the World Clan didn't send anyone. Now they're showing their real strength because the Fire Shrine is threatening me. Lin Feng was astonished. He hadn't thought the World Clan had become so strong. How strong is the World Clan? One of the Fire Shriners asked icily. You really consider yourselves unexcelled in the world. You despised the World Clan, said a strong cultivator flatly. The members of the Fire Shrine had to admit that it was the truth. So what do you intend to do now? Asked the one next to Bei Shan Wang coldly. The Fire Shrine said they wanted to destroy the World Clan. What do you think we want to do? The members of the Fire Shrine were even more astonished. Was the World Clan saying they wanted to destroy the Fire Shrine? The World Clan dares act that arrogantly? We have to be intransigent. You just said you wanted to destroy the World Clan. What should we do? Said the strong cultivator of the World Clan, smiling coldly. Even if the World Clan gets destroyed, you guys won't see it. The World Saints moved towards the Fire Saints together. Their world strength blotted out the sky. The Fire Saints were stupefied. One of them looked at Lin Feng and blurted out said, "Capture him." The air hummed. All the saints of the Fire Shrine threw themselves at Lin Feng. They wanted to capture him to threaten the World Clan. How cold! Lin Feng's great demon halberd of desolation swept out, and a demon Dao trail appeared in the sky. A terrifying fire hand imprint bombarded his demon strength and destroyed it. The Fire Saints flashed towards him as fast as lightning. Stay here, said the Fire Saints. Celestial Dao surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't escape anymore. Be careful. World lights encircled the Fire Saints. The strong cultivators of the World Clan flashed in and surrounded those people, but the members of the Fire Shrine were very fast. Go in. A cage of darkness emerged from Lin Feng's eyes and the Fire Saints ended up in a cage, but they destroyed it instantly. Die. A light beam dashed to the skies. Lin Feng released empty space and wind strength, then he condensed it in his great demon halberd of desolation and then his weapon hacked towards Bei Shan Wang. Piss off, shouted Bei Shan Wang furiously. A shield appeared. He wanted to block Lin Feng's attack, while at the same time, fire dragons appeared in his eyes. Lin Feng's soul shook and fire energies appeared inside him. A terrifying destructive strength surrounded Lin Feng. Bei Shanwang's fellow disciples were too strong. Great empty space technique. Lin Feng released empty space strength and threw his great demon halberd of desolation at the same time towards Bei Shanwang's shield. Bei Shanwang moved back, but someone appeared just above him, attacking him from above. The great demon halberd of desolation pierced through his body, and his face went blank. Chapter 2360, Enigmatic and unfathomable Bei Shanwang was attacked by a strong cultivator of the World Clan and Lin Feng together, and died. But Lin Feng was still in danger. He recalled his great demon halberd of desolation, and two more cultivators of the fire shrine attacked him. He used his great demon halberd of desolation again, but they destroyed the attack quickly. Lin Feng was already coughing blood as he was attacked repeatedly, his face turned deathly pale. If he hadn't had an immortal body, he would have died instantly. The saints of the World Clan arrived close enough to attack, their world lights surrounding the fire saints. The latter ended up in another world. The strong cultivators of the World Clan have a similar strength to mine. They use their worlds to deal with opponents. I can't even see anything with my godly awareness, he thought, impressed. The saints of the World Clan had completely disappeared into the world lights, which were flaring and surging. The battles inside were probably crazy. "Come back!" shouted Lin Feng to the great demon halberd of desolation. The great demon halberd of desolation came back into his hand. There were world lights where Bei Shanwang was a minute before, so Lin Feng jumped into that ancient world. A world in a world. Lin Feng raised his head. It was a world in a strong cultivator's world, and they were fighting inside. The strong cultivators of the World Clan were incredible. Lin Feng didn't really understand them, but it seemed the strongest cultivator of the group of people from the World Clan had nothing to do. He was just blocking the members of the fire shrine. Seems like I underestimated the World Clan, he mused. No wonder that they had let Lin Feng walk around in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds as a member of the World Clan. They had been prepared already. The battle lasted for a long time before finally, the world lights flared a last time, dispersed, and the saints of the World Clan reappeared. "Diamond, let's go," said a strong cultivator of the World Clan. World lights surrounded Lin Feng and they disappeared. Inside the other world, Lin Feng asked, "Did you kill all the saints of the fire shrine?" "Yes, we avoided killing just one or two, we killed them all at the same time. That way, when the fire shrine found out about it, it was already too late to come," replied the saint. Lin Feng was impressed. What a great strategy and result. It was difficult to kill everyone at the same time. The strong cultivators of the World Clan were enigmatic and unfathomable. "But the fire shrine will know the World Clan killed their people, right?" asked Lin Feng. "The issue is solved. Our strength resides in our hiding abilities. If we want to hide, even shrines can't find us," said the saint with a confident smile. Lin Feng agreed. World strength was incredible. They could indeed hide easily. Before they even arrived, they had already gotten ready to kill saints, otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to plan everything. "The World Clan hid for such a long time, I didn't think you'd be so well prepared," Lin Feng grinned. Someone behind smiled at Lin Feng and said, "The World Clan had been hiding for such a long time, but what about the cultivators of the World Clan? Maybe they were in the outside world, but didn't say they were from the World Clan." Lin Feng nodded. "Maybe. Maybe you are famous. Maybe if you told people your names, they'd know you. But nobody understands the details and nobody knows your real social status. They just consider you members of the World Clan. The World Clan has been waiting for an opportunity for such a long time. I initially wanted to wait for Lang Yi to become strong enough, but then you showed up, so we didn't wait for him. And it's better, this way he doesn't have so much pressure. He'll need more time to become like us and catch up." What happened in the Void Phoenix clan spread throughout the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds quickly. People used jade talismans to communicate, so the news spread quickly. In a few days, many people received messages about it. It had been a very long time since something like that had happened in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. The fire shrine had lost a dozen saints, including 4 low-level saints. It was a disaster for them. Some people started casting greedy eyes on the Void Phoenix clan, since their leader had been killed. And surprisingly, all of this had happened because of a young man who had shown up a few years before, Daimon from the World Clan. Back then he had defeated Cheonghaya by the Mojia's battle stage. A few years had passed, and then he had become much stronger than Cheonghaya. Some people also said that he could kill half-saints alone, because he wasn't only a saint, he was also a great deployment master. The Fire Shrine was furious. They sent some high-level saints to the World Clan, but the World Clan had vanished. They were prepared, and the Fire Shrine couldn't find them anymore. This time, not only the Fire Shrine was astonished, but the other shrines too. In a hall of the Ice and Snow Shrine, someone wearing a snow robe said to someone else, "What do you think about the World Clan?" The Fire Shrine and the others forgot how the World Clan disappeared back then during their golden age. They all despised the World Clan, and the consequences were tragic. So many years have passed, people from that era have all died, so people don't know how strong the World Clan was during the Golden Era. The Fire Shrine seems to have completely forgotten about it, said the other one, laughing. So many years had passed and the World Clan was starting to take their revenge. They wanted to destroy the Fire Shrine someday, too. I don't think the World Clan can be that strong. They might be able to compete with some shrines, but they can't destroy a shrine, someone countered. Who knows? Everything is possible in this world. Daimon was a big surprise. Besides, there are geniuses in every generation, including the World Clan. 1,000 years ago, where did that demon go? The mysterious 3 lives? Who was he? How strong was he? Asked another strong cultivator in a snow robe casually. Everybody remained silent and nodded. Anything was possible in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. I have the feeling that the imperial court won't be calm for much longer, murmured a cultivator in a snowy robe. The destiny wheel rotated, the forbidden person disappeared. Chu Chun Chiu is in the supreme animal world. Daimon went to the supreme ancient pit of hell, came out alive and obtained the great demon halberd of desolation. The World Clan reappeared. How much longer will the continent be calm? The World Clan didn't know about what was going on there. They were in a dimly discernible mountain range surrounded by fog. It was a world in a world. The whole World Clan had moved there. The imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds was boundless. They had just chosen a random place. It was so vast, even the shrines couldn't find them easily. Lin Feng was in a world within a world. Next to him were 2 beautiful women, Jing and Qing Feng. Jing knew that Daimon was Lin Feng now, and was astonished. No wonder that Qing Feng was drawn to him, he was so strong. How is the Void Phoenix clan now? Asked Jing. It was her clan, even if they were cruel to her, she would miss them. The leader has been killed, many people died. But I released your father. The Void Phoenix clan is going to go through many hardships. The Fire Shrine might take control over it, replied Lin Feng. Jing remained silent. Indeed, the Void Phoenix clan had accepted an alliance with a shrine. It was a mistake. Daimon, said someone at that moment. Lin Feng turned around. This time, the Fire Shrine won't let the World Clan off. Do you intend to hide again? Asked Lin Feng. The other smiled and shook his head. No. We came out, and we won't continue hiding. When Lin Feng saw that smile, his heart twitched. He was amazed. How strong was the World Clan? And he didn't understand, if the World Clan could really compete with the shrines, why did they do things slowly? Why did they do things that way at all? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.